Yeah, right. We are live. Yes. Okay. Let's go ahead and the hungry lamb traveling in the late Ming Dynasty. Hold on, will my drink be see-through? It is not. Um After successfully evading the soldiers, the following afternoon we finally arrived at Shigu village. Shui Gao? Shui Gu? I still do not know. Upon hearing the name Shui Gao, meaning water ditch, I thought there would be a water ditch running through the entire village. The villagers lived by the channel with its gurgling water. By the stream, the washerwoman was washing clothes while the old man was fishing. However, upon reaching the village, we realized there was no stream in sight. The ground had long dried up, cracked by the scorching sun, the cracks forming a tangled web from afar, resembling the wrinkles at the corners of an old man's eyes. At times, the locusts would leap among the crevices, while at other times they would flap their wings and skim the ground. With no water in the village and the crops already dead, there were scarcely any locusts remaining, only a few scattered ones left. Yet I could picture that just a short while ago the locusts blanketed this area, sweeping through the village, devouring all the crops amidst the cries of the farmers. After arriving at the Shuigao village, we traversed a few households yet encountered no signs of human presence. How do we find Yin San's men?
他让我们去找村里的刘永福，得找人问一问这人在哪儿。
The villagers here, they've probably fled already. I'm not sure how many households are still here. I remarked as I led the pack horse and observed the dilapidated village. There was nobody on the streets, it was completely empty. It seemed like there was a severe famine here as well. Despite being near the Central Plains, this place wasn't much better off than northern Shan. Since the new emperor took the throne, there had been successive disasters in the past few years. In the first year, droughts plagued northern Shan, leaving the wheat fields completely desolate. People fled in search of food, famine was widespread, and starved corpses lay strewn across the countryside. After a few years, despite the common people's hope that the years of disasters were over, more regions were afflicted by droughts, and there were even new locust plagues. In larger towns like Huazhu, Shanzhou, and Liaoyang, things were somewhat better. They still had reserves from previous years, enough to last for a while. In these cities, although there were refugees and corpses scattered along the roadsides, the majority of the city dwellers still had food to eat. However, these small villages with scant reserves would face complete ruin in the wake of consecutive years of calamities. Amidst the famine-stricken small villages, those deprived of food either resigned themselves to death in the village or fled eastward in search of relief. Shuigao village was... totally pronouncing it wrong. I just know inside, deep inside, not even deep, really surface level, I know, I am pronouncing the name of this village so fucking wrong, but I don't know how else to pronounce it. It was likely one among the hundreds of villages afflicted by disaster. The villagers here either died of starvation or fled, leaving few behind. Just as I was lost in thought, Tung called out to me abruptly. He stood at the doorway of the first house at the village entrance, as if he had witnessed something terrifying, frozen in place and reluctant to enter. What? With curiosity, I approached the house. What could it be that would scare Tung like this? Oh. Oh, no. A smell of rotting flesh blended with a strong tang of blood. A constant drone of flies swirling and buzzing noisily. This space likely served as a butchery for animals. A wooden slab occupied the center of the room, its surface marred by dried black blood that seeped onto the ground below and congealed. Near the wooden board, heaps of bones lay, buzzing with flies while maggots squirmed nearby. Some bones were bloody, others boiled. It looked like pig bones at first, but examining closely sent a shiver down my spine. Human. Damn it. These were clearly human bones. Things off about this village. I glared at the human bones on the ground and said to Tung,
是啊，不正常。闹灾后开始吃人了，可能现在都死完了。 怪事儿，这里这么多骨头，怎么没一个是头啊？
Not strange, they likely buried the heads. Even when starving, folks don't fancy munching on heads.
这有什么说法？
Heads don't have much meat, and they're a hassle to eat. Plus, they say chowing down on heads can make you sick.
啊，我还以为是因为别的原因。
Other reason?
我以为吃人的害怕被吃的突然动起来，反咬一口。
Okay, that's kind of funny. I'll give you that one, Tongue. Tongue joked, but I couldn't laugh. I inspected the bones carefully. No skulls, mostly arms, legs, or smashed torsos. Some parts looked gnawed by maggots, maybe innards. But with all the blood and death I'd seen, I still felt sick. The walls covered in blood emitted an overpowering stench. Hold on. Something's off. These bones on the ground, they looked kind of small. But looking closer, they were all the bones of little ones, not big ones. Even the larger ones, they seemed like women's, none from men. Oh. Could it be? Not good. Oh, shit. A shiver ran down my spine as I realized something was wrong, quickly getting up and heading out the door. As I rushed out, a voice called from the distance. From a nearby house stepped out a villager. Scrawny, wearing torn clothes, somewhere in his 40s. This guy looked rough, eyes dark with a green gleam like a wild animal. Sure enough, the village wasn't quite dead yet. This village just started cannibalizing. From the bones left on the ground, they began with lambs and even ate some ewes. Our lambs were in danger.
快看，村外来人了，他们牵着马，还带了几个娃，可以抢着吃。
No, don't tease me.
吃。
One villager shouted and another burst out from a different house. Soon after, I saw 4 or 5 villagers coming out from nearby houses. Their eyes glowed green, bodies wobbling as they rushed towards the pack horses and lambs. Wah! Xianghua, next to me, went pale with fear, and Hong'er and Quier tried to run back, but they were tied up and couldn't escape. To them, these hungry villagers looked like scary monsters. Get lost! I shouted furiously, warning the villagers rushing toward us. One villager, red-eyed with hunger, didn't listen to me and still dashed towards the lambs. What a damn idiot. I cursed silently and hurriedly closed the distance. The guy was on the verge of passing out from hunger and wasn't running very fast. I quickly caught up. Instead of stabbing, I lifted my foot and kicked him hard. Thud! He'd been starving for days, barely able to walk straight. Light as a feather, one kick sent him flying nearly 10 steps. The crazy hungry guy tumbled on the ground, rolling over 3 times. After falling to the ground, he lay twisted on the ground, bones likely broken. He coughed blood, then stared wide-eyed at the sky, gasping like a dying fish. My kick might have ended up being fatal. But hey, he wanted to eat our lambs. He probably ate his own already. If I took his life, he had it coming. Back off, I got a sword! Whoever tries to snatch, I'll kill. I shouted at the approaching villagers, keeping the lambs safe behind me. I pulled out my sword, pointing it at them. The sunlight glinted off the blade, making the villagers step back in fear.
妈的，哪儿来的一群野猴子，敢对我们下手？杀了那么多人，杀你们轻而易举。敢抢我们的人，一会儿我们几十个兄弟们下山把这村子给屠了。
Tongue whipped out his blade too, adding to our show of force. Smart move, acting like bandits and threatening backup. Normally, we wouldn't dare. Even the toughest bandits wouldn't dare raid a village without lots of men. But now they were weak from hunger, probably not thinking straight. And it's a bad year. This village was too far for any official soldiers to reach. But no worry about them warning the nearby towns. Villagers, seeing how I looked, didn't dare come closer. The troublemaker from earlier even plopped down on the ground, kneeling.
饶命啊！饶命啊！村里没东西了，前些日子潼关的关老爷说要去剿贼，把所有余粮都拿走了，还捉了村里的几个姑娘去劳局。
Is he talking? Are those going to be the same officials that we had spoken to earlier.
现在我们村里什么也没剩下了，没法孝敬好汉了。
The head villager bowed, and the rest started keeping their distance. I glanced at the villagers nearby and far, counting them quietly. 17. That's how many villagers I saw. Most were men, no women or kids. Most were men? Wait, if most were men, but there were no women or kids, then wouldn't that mean all were men? There's gotta be a translation error. I spotted one. They said the women were taken by the official soldiers. And the women and kids who weren't taken, probably eaten by them. Didn't know if there were more villagers alive. Anyway, gotta be more cautious around them. These folks now, not much different from wild beasts.
你们也不用慌啊，我们今天不是来劫财的，我们只想来找一个叫刘永福的人，带他来找我们。
刘永福，那小子1个月前就跑了。
跑了？
对呀，上个月关老爷来抓壮丁和匪军打仗，刘永福不知从哪听的消息，提前跑了。
妈的，这小子倒溜得挺快，他逃去哪儿了？
不知道啊，东边闹荒不厉害，大概是往东逃了。
You knew the east was safer, why didn't you all run?
逃了呀，村里多半的人都逃荒去了呀。往东边逃的有，向西边逃投反贼的也有。我们这些留在村里的，大多都是些老胳膊老腿，走在外面怕被人给吃了。都说落叶归根，哪怕死，我们也得死在祖祖辈辈的土地上，省得变成骨灰野鬼。
The villagers looked at us from a distance, their eyes showing resignation. His idea did make sense. These folks, even if facing death, won't leave. Running away or joining rebels meant more danger for them, and the end might not be better than dying here. Hit me then. Folks like me and Tongue, always moving around, might be the minority. Most folks probably live and die in one place.
好汉呐！
Just as I was thinking, the villager called me again. I looked at him, confused, not sure what he wanted to say.
我说是去打仗就没消息了，老婆也被官兵带走了，如今就剩我一个人了。我饿得发昏，熬不过2天了。你们能不能大发慈悲，可怜可怜我们，给我们1匹马，或者至少分我们一些粮？
If I give you food, that's only going to last you maybe a day, get you to last a day, maybe 2 more?
等灾年过去了，我给你们建庙堂烧高香。
The villager knelt down, pleading with me in tongue. The rest, all dozen or so, followed suit, tears in their eyes, begging us. One by one, they started bowing their heads. Should I share some food with them? I always pick the nice out. Oh. I'm sharing. Tongue. Moved by a sense of pity, I pulled Tongue aside.
不行，
He cut me off before I could even speak, a resolute look on his face. He knew what I was going to suggest.
梁，别他妈在这时候惦记着做善人啦！刚刚那些事故你没看到？
Got a good point.
这些人早就饿疯了，他们连自己人都吃，却没来吃我们。他们是心善吗？他们是不敢。
Tongue whispered to me, sneaking looks at the villagers kneeling in the distance.
我们是贼，是匪，比他们还饿。他们知道，若是上来抢粮食，便要被我们杀，所以才没人敢来抢。你若是把粮给他们，把他们弄馋了，不怕我们了，喂饱了，有力气了，咱都得玩完。
Tongue was right. These people might be groveling now, but that doesn't mean they're innocent and weak. We're low on food already, not much to spare. If we give them anything, they'll just come back for more. They might even follow us and try to kill us later. That house full of corpses was a grim reminder. No food. Not a bit. Listen up. No horses, no food. If anyone tries to rob, I'll kill them. We brandished our blades, glaring at the kneeling villagers. Backing away with the lambs, we left Shui Gao village far behind. Later, we entered the forests east of Shui Gao village, never to see it again. That's when we started planning our next move. What now?
还能怎么办？继续往东走吧。
Got enough food to reach Shanzhou?
哎呦，他妈的，本来够的，被那些短命的王八兵借了一半，有点不够了。
Could we go to Tongguan? It's close.
梁，给你几个胆子去潼关？那里他妈的全都是官兵。我们虽然有路引，但不好解释这些小羊，被官兵问着就是死。
You're closer with Yin San. Where else he got people?
我想想，文乡吧，他在文乡那里有家差不多的客栈，而且我在那里也有认识的朋友。
Alright. Wenjiang is it? Wenjiang. Wenjiang? I'm trying to emulate how he said it, and I can't. It is. We have to stretch our food, so we'll tighten our belts and walk a bit farther. I told Tung and the lambs too. That said, I wondered if these lambs got why I turned those villagers down. They begged, but I refused to feed them. They didn't see that room full of bones, didn't know what happened there. I didn't reject it. I tried to give food and Tung said no. Can they understand this? Can these lambs understand how hunger can make folks act like wild animals, losing their minds and resorting to cannibalism? Probably not. We went southeast to Wenjia. To avoid the hungry folks from Shigao village, we traveled extra at night. The lambs were exhausted after 2 extra hours of walking, so we took a break. I made a fire and gave the lambs rations and water. Maybe because I said we'd have less rations for a while, or because they saw those hungry people, the lambs ate their rations seriously today. They held the tasteless rations like treasures, savoring every bite carefully. How far is Wenjian from here? Taking a bite of my ration, I asked Tung, seated across from me.
不算近，但也不远，大概3、4天能到吧。哎，陕州你熟吧？文乡在陕州西南方，有3天的路程。
Tung talked about how far and which way, and when he brought up Shanzhou, I got the idea. Didn't seem like we were taking too many extra steps. After that, Tung fell asleep fast. It's my turn to keep watch. Wouldn't have been able to sleep anyway. Those villagers got me thinking. First fierce and mad, then scared and humble. Were they like sheep? No. They fought for survival. Sheep are more numb, taking the pain without a peep. Wolves? No, too pathetic, begging on their knees. So what were they? What animal?
良夜，
As I thought about the villagers from earlier, I heard a soft call nearby. It was Mansui calling me. What's up? I looked at her with confusion.
接手。
She blushed slightly, a bit embarrassed as she spoke to me. Oh. I untied Mansui and took her to a spot downwind, about 50 steps away. She really needed to go, no fooling this time. She was shy and asked me to give her some space. I couldn't see anything, but I heard some noises. After she finished, she took a bit longer before coming back to me.
谢谢良夜陪我出来解手。天这么黑，我自己的话肯定不敢。
Huh? You scared of the dark, lass?
怕啊，我当然怕黑了，都不敢自己走夜路。
Oh, speaking of which, you scared of those villagers earlier?
怕啊，当然怕。他们看起来好像要吃了我们嘞。良夜，今天你和星夜看了一间屋子，那个屋子有什么？
Mansui curiously asked me. Should I tell her what was in that house? I'm not gonna lie to her. I think this is the first time we've had multiple decisions in one chapter. I wonder if that's gonna be a trend as we go further, we get more and more choices. Tell the truth. Tell her. This one's tougher than the rest. She can handle it. Plus, it'll be a good scare. Might toughen her up a bit. In that house, there was a room with a wooden board, covered in blood and meat. Blood over the walls, bones on the ground.
是人的。
Yeah, lots of folks, mostly kids. The village was hit bad, folks starving, so they started eating kids. What's in that house was just the leftovers. I told Monsui coldly, keeping an eye on her reaction. She looked surprised when I told her, but didn't seem too frightened. Maybe she's just acting tough. If I were her age, I'd be scared out of my wits by that hellish scene.
良夜，其他孩子不会跟星爷说我不是哑巴的事吧？
Just as I was wondering if she was scared of that house, she hit me with a question out of nowhere. No, they're too scared of him. Wouldn't dare to talk back.
也是，他们都怕星爷，毕竟星爷之前差点想杀翠儿。我觉得大家是喜欢良夜的，有事的时候，大家现在都找良夜。
Yay! Stop with the sweet talk. I haven't forgotten how close you were to killing me.
良夜真记仇，
Does your butt still hurt?
不疼了。
It's been days, my dude. We used a reed from a lake. It's not gonna still hurt. Is what you said about your sister and the swine demon true?
是真的，我们只要一到洛阳，就会被送到妖怪的餐桌上。但是，我不怕，我要给姐姐报仇。
I frowned, staring at her intently. She looked determined, not like she was lying. When she said revenge, I could feel her resolve. But how could an 11-year-old kid like her seek revenge against a man-eating swine demon? It's true, should Tung and I really take them there? I fell into thought. Not good. As a wolf, I shouldn't even care about this question. The lives of these lambs were none of my concern. I lived for me, not them. We're getting soft. Sweet, Chapter 1. It was hot and the ground was really dry. I sat in front of my house, lost in thought, with my arms around my knees and my chin rested on them. I'd been crying, my tears flowed and my nose ran too. I hadn't been drinking much water, so I didn't shed too many tears, even though I cried my heart out.
穗儿，别生气了。我们煮了那狸奴也是没办法。
Oh, you motherfucker!
他本来就要死了，都趴在地上不叫了，眼睛眯着，本就难活过今天了。
I crouched by the doorway, listening to my mom's voice coming from inside the house. Mom was talking to me, but I pretended that I didn't hear. Because I was still mad at my mom. I hated my mom because she just cooked my kitten.
穗儿，别耍性子了，人都快饿死了，还管得了畜生？你奶奶一天昏过去几次，梦话都念叨着想开荤。你这孩子，到底是要奶奶还是要狸奴啊？穗儿，听话。
The cat.
趁热也来吃点吧。哼，不吃算了，再晚点，财儿就都吃完了，一点都不给你留。
Mom kept yapping on and on, accompanied by the sound of my brother gobbling down the meat. He bit into a leg, teeth sinking into a piece of meat still attached to the bone, then took a big gulp of soup. I didn't want to hear those sounds. The smell of the meat soup wafted through the air, a sour tang with a bit of a gamey smell. The smell made me want to puke, but it also made my stomach growl from hunger. I didn't want to smell that. I tried hard to cover my ears and also wanted to pinch my nose shut. But I couldn't do it because I only had 2 hands. So I drooped my head and pressed my entire face against my knees until it was hard for me to breathe. The gap between my knees made it difficult for me to hide myself and escape from this home I didn't want to be in.
连云，穗儿正心情不好，别去扰她了，让她自己静静。女儿也大了，她能想明白的。唉。
I heard that deep sigh from Dad. Lately, Dad had been a drooping wheat stalk, lacking vitality, spending his days sighing with his head hung low. It had been a long while since I last saw the dad who used to smile constantly and provide a sense of security. Everything had changed. It was completely different from 2 years ago. It hadn't rained for a long time. The last time it rained, my brother was still very young, and Mom had to carry him around all day long. I recalled that day from 2 years ago when I was 8 years old, when it rained heavily. There were a lot of fish in the river. I caught one and fed it to the kitten. That day, Dad even brought a sweet potato back for our family. It was the first time I'd ever had a sweet potato. I hadn't seen rain since that day. Without rain, a lot of things changed. The river became shallow and the fish died. The ground cracked and the wheat also perished. The wheat began to fade, turn yellow, and then wither away before it could even fully mature. Dad desperately wanted to revive the wheat. He grabbed his hoe, loosened the soil, and worked tirelessly from dawn till dusk. At first, he would smile and encourage us, saying everything would turn out all right. So long as he worked hard, better days would come. However, the wheat continued to wither away bit by bit. One morning, I saw Dad sitting on his knees in the wheat field. Looking around, I could see that all the wheat in the entire field had withered and died. The way wheat and fish die are quite similar. When a fish dies, it lies on the dried riverbed, eyes wide open, gasping for breath slowly. Similarly, when wheat dies, it too lies on the cracked earth, swaying gently with the wind, rising and falling slowly. I snuck a glance at Dad. I saw him clutching the lifeless body of a wheat stalk in his hand. He held it close to his chest, gritting his teeth, drooping his head as if he was in tears. Gradually, his grip tightened, crushing the wheat in his palm, scattering it into the dry wind. Dad tried his best, but nothing good came of it, leaving him shaken. He began to blame himself, regretting the reckless spending from 2 years ago when he bought that sweet potato. I wasn't sure if he cried or not, but I think he did.
我上次去换粮的时候，看到镇上的很多屋子都是空的。
人都逃走了？
听说都在往东跑，要往陕州去。
陕州？沈姨不是说那里刚闹了兵变，知县都被人杀了？
沈姨竟会扯些流言，我问过乡老，他说那里并没有兵变。而且你仔细想想，陕州临近潼关，周围驻扎了那么多军队，谁敢在那儿兵变啊？
I was still sitting at the doorway, watching the barren land in the distance while eavesdropping on my parents' conversation. They mentioned some towns to the east, like Shanzhou and Tangguan. What kind of places are Shanzhou and Tangguan? What is a rebellion?
哎，现在怎么办？家里的存粮也不多了。我反复算了一下，咱家这5口，哪怕每天泡稀粥，也只够吃1个月。要么，我们也往东逃。
不行，娘走不了，2个娃儿也还小，咱们挪不动啊。而且现在所有人都往东逃，关岛、山里都是蹲着抢粮的盗匪，不好走啊。
哎，可这样下去，吃不上饭要怎么办？
哎，镇上的当铺还开着，我明天再去当些东西，再去找乡老买些粮。
要么，把我的镯子也当掉吧。
那是你爹留给你的，还是算了吧。
当掉吧，现在粮价一直在涨，趁早当了买粮。等灾年过去，我们再把它赎回来。
How do you... Okay. Sure.
可是，
I heard Mom was going to pawn her bracelet. Oh, I skipped ahead. I didn't read. I acknowledged the thing, and then didn't read it. That bracelet looked quite lovely. It was part of the dowry left to my mom by her family. The kitten was eaten because we needed to eat. Mom was going to pawn her bracelet so we wouldn't starve. Perhaps I should forgive Mom? Suddenly, I heard my grandma coughing. Grandma was awake. She was sick for quite a few days and even passed out because of it. We were so worried about her, and she was finally awake.
娘，
Dad and Mom quickly gathered around Grandma as she woke up.
刚才你们是不是给我喂了点汤啊？
对，给娘喂了一点汤。
什么汤啊，酸味儿那么重。
黎奴的肉汤。
哎呀，怪不得啊。
啊，汤还有一点儿，娘要不要再喝点儿？
不要，我不喜欢黎奴的味道。而且呀，我马上要去见阎王爷了，不必给我喝汤了，你们自己喝吧。
娘，不要说这么不吉利的话，你的气色比昨天要好多了。
我自己怎样，也只有自己知道。我刚去了一趟鬼门关，见了牛头马面，他们想用锁链套我，我一甩身子，给挣开了。我不是怕跟他们走，只是有事儿还没跟你们说完啊。
哎，娘，你说吧。
这灾呀，来得突然，但想来也早有预兆。早几年你爹走的时候，我就做了噩梦，梦到的场景和现在一模一样。
Grandma crazy.
现在说的话，好像在梦里也都说过。你们在我走后，一定要去找水，要去找蛇。蛇的旁边可以挖井，有了井，村里的人都活了。咱后院的那宝贝，不要吃，不能卖，因为有神仙寄宿在上面，不能得罪神仙。我想见彩儿，彩儿在哪儿啊？
奶奶，我在这儿。
哎，彩儿真乖。
Grandma called out to my brother once, and my brother ran over to her side. Grandma tended to be more affectionate toward my younger brother than toward me. Whenever something happened, she would usually call for him first. She would often forget about me.
穗儿呢？
However, I was caught off guard. This time it didn't take long for her to call my name. I stood at the same spot, hearing Grandma calling my name. I wasn't sure why, but I was getting a bit nervous. I wasn't sure how I should face her. Not long ago, I got mad at Grandma because Mom said Grandma wanted to have some meat, which led to the kitten being cooked. But now, for some unknown reason, I'm not really mad at her anymore.
穗儿，快过来！
Mom called out to me. I didn't hold a grudge anymore. Instead, I obediently sat by Grandma's bedside with my younger brother.
奶奶，我来了。
I gently called out to Grandma before sitting down and looking at her. Grandma was lying on the bed. Her breathing was weak but steady. I thought she would look pale since her body was weak. However, her face was actually a bit red at the moment. The wrinkles on her forehead smoothed out, and a smile graced her lips, giving her a gentle and kind appearance. In my recollection, Grandma was always fond of arguments, to the extent that one might even say she enjoyed stirring up trouble for no reason. Whenever someone in the family did something slightly wrong, she would follow them around nagging for half the day. But now she's different from before, appearing so gentle and kind. It felt somewhat unfamiliar. I could hardly recognize this version of Grandma anymore.
彩儿，穗儿啊，来，奶奶要给你们讲故事。
娘，你这身体还是好好休息吧。
哎，不休息，我比刚才感觉更有精神了，睡不着了。我就想给2个娃儿多讲点故事。你们忙你们的，就不要管了。
Grandma gasped for breath as she scolded Dad for attempting to get her to rest. In that moment, she bore a striking resemblance to the grandma I knew so well.
哎，彩儿啊，之前听过鬼差的故事吗？
没。
那吞妖的故事呢？
也没。
哎呀，那看来奶奶之前净给穗儿讲了，都没给你讲。那我先讲吞妖的故事吧。几百年前，华州附近的华山上住着一头豚妖，修为1000年，专吃小娃子。4个小娃子被捉了去，其中有个勇敢的娃子藏了一把刀，准备要杀那豚妖。
That's how many we have traveling with us. However, there was that 5th one. We could have it. We could be a number of 5, but we're not. Grandma's told us the story about the swine demon. The sun went down as she went on and on. The sunlight in the room grew dimmer and dimmer, as did the light in Grandma's eyes. When the night came, Grandma's voice grew increasingly faint. Each word seemed to be a struggle with her trying hard to breathe while speaking through her clenched teeth. Eventually, she stopped before finishing the story. I thought she fell asleep at first, but I didn't hear her breathing. Dad came over and touched Grandma's wrist, then stood there absent-minded without saying a word. I also touched Grandma's wrist. It was icy and cold. After that, Mom and Dad gathered around Grandma and cried. My brother started crying too after seeing them in tears. The room echoed with the sound of weeping. I was stunned and stood still. As I glanced at everyone, I felt as if my heart was being gouged out with a knife. But I didn't cry. Earlier today, I had already cried all my tears for the kitten. By the time midnight came, there were none left for my grandma. Leaving Shuigao village, it's a three-day journey to Anjiang. Each day we walked a bit, munched on rations at dusk, and drank water. Nothing out of the ordinary happened along the way. If anything stood out, it was how the lamb started getting along better. One time, with tongue snoring away, I feigned sleep. The lambs took the opportunity to exchange a few whispers.
姐姐，你原来不是哑巴呀？是呀，不是哑巴。姐为啥要装哑巴？哑巴做事方便，谁都会对哑巴戒心少一些。可要是被星夜和良夜发现了怎么办？你们不说，他们便发现不了呀。应该不会说吧？不说的，一定不说的。姐姐， 谢谢昨天把你的凉粉连我一块儿。没事儿，你多吃点，好长大。话说，你们为啥都叫我姐姐呀？为什么觉得我比你们大？我也不知道。姐虽然和我一样高，但是感觉更像一个大人。而且，叫不出姐的名字，我也只能叫姐啦。我看起来还更像大人啊。对了，姐姐叫什么名字啊？我知道，翠儿叫翠儿，红儿叫红儿，他们也知道我的名字，我们就是不知道姐姐的名字。我的名字是穗，你们叫我穗姐姐就好。不过，千万要记得，不要在星爷面前同我说话。星爷若是知道我不是哑巴，会打死我的。明白的。
Mansui whispered to the lambs, serious like. I peeked, trying to hear. Told them a different name than the one she told me. I heard Mansui. They just heard Sui. What's her real name? She hiding it from me too. I mean, that's not too different. For 3 days I had been thinking about these lambs, wondering where they were from, what they had been through. Kept me going, stopped me feeling too hungry. We agreed, 1 meal a day. Not much for them, definitely not enough for me. With just the afternoon meal, come midnight, my belly started growling. Felt like there was a storm brewing inside. By dawn, maybe I'd starved enough, because hunger faded away. At noon, with the sun blazing overhead, the water in my belly turned into fire, making me parched and dizzy. I felt like I had lost a part of myself, my steps heavier than when I was full. Thankfully, the days like these didn't last. 3 days later, we crossed the main road and reached Wangjiang. Teng was right. Yinsan did indeed have an inn in Wangjiang. After we arrived, we asked around and quickly found it in the eastern part of town. It looked a lot like the one back in Huazhu, with similar size and decorations, just some minor differences in how the tables and chairs were arranged. Teng went inside to talk to the inn waiter. Lambs and I waited in the lobby, catching bits of their conversation from a distance.
这位爷，请问您是哪位呀？是三爷的朋友吗？
是啊，我们是尹三儿那边的人，正在替他运货。货是4只小羊，要运到洛阳。
哦，三爷的活我知道的，2个月前刚接过一对。
接过一对，也是去洛阳的吗？
是啊，都是往那儿送的，而且也是几只小羊。
先不说这个，我们走了几天了，需要在这儿休息1天，再补充一些补给。
明白，您在这儿休息就行。接三爷的活儿，在这儿住是不要钱的。若是想买什么东西，我告诉您在哪儿买。
好，我知道了。那还有一件事儿，想找你打听一下。
什么事儿？
李贵是不是在城里啊？他现在在哪儿？
李贵？哦，李爷呀，他今天去东市的一家酒楼了。我等会儿给
How
您指条路。
convenient.
不用，我知道哪个酒楼，上次他带我去过。
Teng and the waiter were nearly done talking. They whispered a bit more, then Teng came out of the back room and joined us in the... hiccups, god damn it. And joined us in the main hall.
呀，我一会儿去市集买些补给，顺便去见个朋友。
Or is that the same guy that we were talking about earlier that we were supposed to meet in Shuigao village? I can't remember the name of the guy we were supposed to meet in Shuigao. You can still buy food here?
买得到，毕竟是大城，有是有，但是价格听说翻了一番呢。他妈的！
Even if they've doubled, we're still going to buy. It's a long way to fucking shit. Liaoyang. Fuck. Whatever. Also, what should I do while you're out shopping and seeing friends?
你看着这些小羊就好啊！我刚才跟店小二说了，带你们去澡堂，你可以带小羊们洗洗。
You're not washing up before we go out?
我不用，我今天不住这客栈，要找李贵给我安排个地方住，也顺便在那儿洗了。
No, he doesn't trust the innkeeper.
齐罗粉黛，浑圆妥帖，可比这些小羊们有的看呢。嘿嘿，哥知道你不好这一口，不然呢也带你开开荤呐。
Tongue winked and gave my shoulder a tap as he talked. After seeing his expression, I recalled who Li Gui was. Fuck, I butchered that too. I met him once. He's like Yin San in Wenjiang, doing similar work, but he mostly sold women, not lambs. He often tricked respectable women from far-off places into brothels or dressed up girls from brothels to sell them elsewhere as servants. That's the sort of business he was always in. He ran a tavern in Wenjiang, full of courtesans. Tongue went to find him, to stay the night too. I reckoned he was up for a chat and some fun. I was not much into that stuff. Better keep an eye on the lambs so they don't wander off.
梁爷，水已经烧好了，这边请。
After Tongue left, the waiter took us to the inn's bathhouse in the back hall. It was a big bathhouse, about 3 times as large as the inn's lobby. There was a big pool in the middle and a large wooden tub next to it. Wooden buckets sat by the pool and tub filled with hot water. White steam rose from the water, floating in the air like tiny clouds. Waiter then left, leaving only me and the lambs in the bathhouse. Hey, I'll untie your rope so you can all take a bath. I'll use the big pool over there, and you can use the wooden tub. After washing, we'll rinse our clothes in the nearby stream and let them dry for tomorrow. As I talked to them about washing up and changing clothes, I untied the ropes around their waists.
梁爷，有事想问。
What's up?
我们要一起洗吗？
Yeah, you all going to bathe together?
不是，我是说，梁爷要跟我们一起洗吗？
Not together. I'll bathe in the pool and you all in the tub.
那是同时洗吗？都在这个澡堂里洗吗？梁爷，我们要都在这个澡堂里。梁爷脱光衣服，我们也脱光衣服，是这样洗吗？抱歉，梁爷，可能是我多想了。但是，男女授受不亲，爹娘说过，女子的身体只能给丈夫看。
I get it now. But remember, a few days ago when you needed to go, I was there too, right?
不一样，有草丛，梁爷看不到。
I can look away. I'm not gonna look. You're children. It's disgusting.
而且，爹娘说了，女子满7岁便不可与男子共浴，这是严规，犯了会嫁不出去的。
I stayed quiet as Changhua finished talking, not saying anything. Seeing me silent, she kept quiet too, not daring to speak. She kept her head down, maybe because she was shy or scared and didn't look at me. She stood up for her beliefs, not wanting to bathe in the same room with me. At first, I felt awkward, but thinking about it, it made sense. It did, yes. I thought the other lambs were just kids, too young for men and women shouldn't be too close. But for some, turning 7 meant a clear distinction between genders. While the other lambs came from simple families and didn't care much about customs. For Chianghua, raised in a strict home, it was a big deal. I've heard stories of well-born women, shamed and driven to extremes over their honor. While I may not see gender division as significant, she might. I nodded along with Changhua's idea, but I wasn't sure if I should go along with it. Oh, I'm gonna go along with it. These lambs were like goods to me, commodities to be bought and sold. If I agreed now, would they push back more later? Maybe bathing together would remind them of their place as goods. But I wasn't really one of those traffickers. Did I really go that far?
要么这样吧，琼华、红儿、翠儿，你们先洗，我和梁爷之后洗。
Mansui, you are gonna bathe with the other women, with the other girls. Just when everything felt stuck, Mansui suddenly blurted out something. She had been quiet as a mouse. What she said caught me off guard. What's this little rascal up to?
穗姐姐，你怎么说话了？你不能在梁爷面前说话的。
Yeah, you can talk in front of Liang, just not the other one.
穗姐姐，
Claire was surprised because Sui spoke in front of me. while Hong Er and Qianghua stared at Sui in shock, unsure whether to be more alarmed by her sudden speech or suggestion to bathe with me.
没事，良叶知道我不是哑巴，不用担心的。
Mansui looked up at me and gave me a little smile.
我提议你们先洗，我和良叶后洗，是觉得这样才合适。
Why is that the right? Why does that seem like the right order?
男女授受不亲，琼儿家教严，不能与良叶一起洗，也不好自己洗，干脆你们3个一起洗吧。可若是这样，难免良叶会有些寂寞。良叶若喜欢让女童陪着洗澡，
No. Mansui glanced at the other lambs, then at me. Seemed unsure, maybe a bit upset. Our lambs looked at Mansui with pity, then back at me. Their looks made me uneasy, like they thought I was some sort of oddball. Brat, don't go spouting nonsense. When did I say I like having girls around when bathing? I said we should all wash together to save the time and money of reheating the water. Forget it. What's the point of talking to you? You all wash up, and when you're done, I'll wash alone. Oh, thank God. I was annoyed by these brats staring at me, so I blurted something out and stormed out of the room.
谢谢良叶，谢谢良叶。
I heard the lambs thanking me as I left. Oh, bang. I exited the bathhouse and shut the door behind me. I stayed outside while the lambs bathed within. Even with the door between us, I could still catch snippets of their chatter.
这水好烫，
这确实有点烫，看来还得再凉一下再进了。
水池这边不烫啊，我们可以去这里洗。穗儿姐，良叶刚才说了，她要在水池洗，我们不能洗吧？
我记得良叶说过了，他说他要在水池里洗，要我们在木桶里洗。
Oh, okay.
我也记得。对，穗儿姐，我们还是不要。穗儿姐，你怎么踩到水池里了呀？没事的，我们也来这边洗吧，不用管太多。4个人用木桶太挤了，肯定是要用水池的。等我们洗完后，再帮良叶换新的水就好。那好。穗儿姐会放水池里的水吗？我看看，应该是这么弄。怎么直接就放水了？会了。
Eventually, they decided to go for it, led by Mansui. All right, let them do as they please, as long as they can change the water for me later. It's all good.
水池里的水真舒服，这池子快跟猪的房子一样大了。
哎呀，姐，像拉臭臭。
Kuya, I swear to God, if you piss in that water.
你先憋着，你拉在这里，姐要打你的。
我能憋着。姐，我想洗头，头痒了好几天了，怕有虱子。
你过来，我给你洗。
要把头放到盆里吗？
你等一下，别乱动，我先往盆里加水。
姐，不要加了，费进耳朵里了。穗儿姐是哪里人？我，家里住在洛阳。
No, she's not.
洛阳，那不就是我们要去的地方吗？洛阳是什么样的？也没什么，就是一座很大的城镇，有很多人，有吃不完的粮食。琼儿是哪里人？
Okay, I see how they're... Okay, I understand how this flowchart works now, I think.
我祖籍杭州，父母都是杭州人。杭州，我知道，那是很美的地方。白娘娘和许宣在西湖相遇， 后来被法海镇在了雷峰塔。我也听过白娘娘的故事，不过，其实我对杭州也不了解。我出生后不久，爹爹就从杭州调到了京城，我们一家都在京城住。京城？哦，听说京城的皇宫很漂亮，金黄的琉璃瓦会发光，万岁爷就住在皇宫里。琼儿，你见过万岁爷吗？我没见过，但是爹爹见过。万岁爷是什么样的
？1 second. Okay.
爹爹说他很年轻，长得像龙，很威风。哦，我虽然没见过万岁爷，但见过袁伯伯，他来过我们家里。袁伯伯？袁伯伯就是袁都师，穗儿姐不知道吗？不知道，我只知道京城有万岁爷，万岁爷管着天下百姓。红儿和翠儿也不知道吗？
不知道。
那不聊了。其实我也不知道太多袁伯伯的事，只知道他后来犯了错，不仅自己死得很惨，还害惨了我们家。我娘和袁伯伯是远亲，他被罚，我家也被罚了。听说琼儿，你是被星爷他们拐来的。1年前，有官兵带我们家去边关，路上，我被假官兵抱上了一辆车，我的身子被绑住，嘴巴被塞住，乘了很久的车，最后被送到了三爷那里。你没想过要跑？我不敢跑。三爷说我要是逃了被抓住要被打死，还给我看了小孩的骨头，而且爹娘早就不要我了，他们本来就没想着找我。这是尹三和你说的？那你别信他，也别怕他，你爹娘一定还想找你的。
I heard Mansui and Xiaohua talking a lot. They seemed to be talking about things they shouldn't. Their voices got quieter afterwards, almost too quiet to hear. They probably realized I might be listening from outside the bathhouse, whispering secrets. Could those two lambs be planning to escape? That won't work. Hey, quit chatting and bathe. I'll give you one more stick of incense's time. If you're not done by then, I'm coming in.
亮爷，你不能进来。
Why not?
我们还没洗完，洗完了还要洗衣服，一炷香时间不够。梁爷，还有一件事想要问你。
Oh my god, sweet. What's up?
我们等会儿洗了衣服要怎么换衣服？这里没有能换的衣服。
Oh, that's a good point. We didn't think that through, did we? I heard the rascals chatting in the bathhouse. Seems like it's true. I only told them to wash and dry clothes, but didn't give them any to change into. Without clothes to change into, they can't hang out the washed ones to dry and won't have anything to wear after bathing. I'll let them ask the inn waiter themselves? Didn't seem right. Wait, I'll go find you some.
谢谢梁爷。
Such a hassle.
梁爷，你能找到梦刷吗？我们想刷刷脚。
Damn, this girl's so demanding now. Clean what? So much to do. We're gonna be walking again. I don't think there's much point in cleaning our dogs when we still got a lot of walking to do.
走了那么多天，脚脏的难受， 不刷之后走不动。
Wait. Such a hassle.
梁爷，翠儿还是憋不住了，能找个尿壶吗？
Bold of you to ask me to fetch that. Want a slap?
梁爷，那还是不照了，我不敢再提了。
梁爷，拜托去找个来吧，一会儿翠儿拉在水池里，你之后也不好洗。
Mansui's just the favorite daughter. We say no to everyone else, but then Mansui asks the same thing, worded differently, and we're like, okay.
求求梁爷了，帮帮翠儿吧。
Oh, Master Liang, you're a girl dad. Wait, such a hassle. The lambs had me fetch quite a few things for them. Some clothes, a wooden brush, and a chamber pot. I made a few trips each time bringing these items to the bathhouse door and giving a light knock. Soon enough, a thin arm would reach out, thanking me quietly as they took what they asked for. I leaned on the bathhouse door, hearing the giggles of those lambs inside. Damn it, this wasn't right. I was supposed to be escorting these lambs. They were the cargo I was supposed to deliver, but now they were giving me the runaround. When I first met these lambs, they were all trembling, afraid to even breathe loud around me. Now they were bathing first, and I was fetching things for them, treating me like some servant. But why did I even agree to let them bathe on their own? And why was I standing guard at the door for them? When did they get so bold? I started thinking hard. And then I remembered that look of hers, Mansui's face all sad and pitiful. It's her. The little brat set me up. I fell for her act and stormed out. Really, am I overreacting a bit? They were just cargo for me to deliver. Why can't I ask them to keep me company like a master would? Being treated like some servant by them was just too much. I can't take it. Right! Stop bathing! Get out now! I yelled at the bathhouse door and slammed it hard, shocking the lamb's jokes and laughter into momentary silence.
梁爷，再等等。
Wait. I'll count to 10. If anyone's still inside, I'll dunk them in the water.
马上。梁爷莫打，我们这就换衣服。
妹子，赶紧穿衣服。
姐，我又想拉臭臭了。
别，赶紧跟我憋住，不许拉。
After I counted to 10, the lambs came out of the bathhouse wearing the inn's clothes. They looked clean and fresh, no more smell. I hurried them so their hair was still wet, sticking to their faces with little drops on their eyelashes. They fixed their hair while walking, leaving wet footprints on the wooden floor. The clothes were too big for them, making it hard to walk. But they'd give them back tomorrow, so it didn't matter anyway. I led the lambs upstairs and locked them in a room. After that, I wanted to take a bath and change clothes. But in the meantime, I needed to do something important. You! Later, you're joining me for a bath. I grabbed Mansui's arm, dragging her along. Not just because I didn't trust her, being alone with the other lambs, feared she might stir up trouble or plot something, but also because I figured she'd been playing games with my head earlier, treating me like her servant. I wanted to teach her a lesson.
梁爷，我洗过了。
It's my turn now. You go fetch wood, boil water, change water, do laundry. That'll make you sweat. After that, we'll hit the bath again.
这些事都让我一个人做。
No,
梁爷也真要我陪你洗啊？
Can we just have an option where we just tell her no? I don't want you to bathe with me, please. Yep, all your job. I do want. No, I don't. I glanced at Mansui, smirked, and reminded her of my order.
好吧。
Seeing how determined I was, she stopped begging and quietly went along with me, head down as I pulled her by the arm. A splash. Mansui poured hot water into the wooden tub. She had to make lots of trips with the wooden basin to fill the whole tub, which took a long time. When changing the water, she walked carefully to avoid slipping, and when pouring water into the tub, she had to stand on tiptoe. It took her nearly 2 hours to finish, draining, cleaning, fetching wood, and adding water. By now, she was sweating a lot. Her cheeks were red, but she was almost done.
梁爷，我好累。
Mansui stood in the bathhouse, her eyes tired, like she had no strength left. Her legs shook a bit from all the work, and she was covered in sweat. Seeing her like this, I couldn't stay mad. Even though I helped her get stuff, she worked hard for so long. Evens out. All right.
那梁叶帮我关回去吧。
Nope, you're all sweaty now. Might as well join me for another round. Oh.
啊，梁叶真要陪着洗啊！我以为你只是为了捉弄我，随便说说。
No, I don't want... I never go back on my word, and you go back now. Besides, I'm sick. You'll smell sweaty. The other lambs might not like that.
啊，我身上有汗臭味吗？
You stink. But actually, she didn't. I didn't smell anything. After hearing what I said, Mansui sort of agreed to my idea. No, she went to the wooden door, grabbed it with both hands, and closed it. Then, with her back to me, she reached for the yin's wide robe belt, her finger slipping into the knot. With a quick pull, the belt came undone and her clothes opened up. There was a soft sound as her clothes slipped off her shoulders and fell to the ground, revealing her bare... Just before her clothes fell completely, I couldn't help but look away. But even in the corner of my eye, I saw her slender No! Her skin wasn't very fair, more like a wheatish color with a hint of pink. She was too thin, her bones showing, with her spine, leg bones, and shoulder blades clearly visible. She was sweaty from all the hard work she'd just done. Sweat drops dotted her spine, shining in the dim bathhouse light. The only flesh on this lass was on her... Last time, she was all fidgety about taking off her skirt. Why was she so cool with ditching clothes this time? Getting used to it, huh?
梁叶，我脱完了。我是跟你一起在水池里洗，还是在木桶里洗？
You get the tub. You bathe in the tub, thank God.
好。
She nodded, feeling the water's warmth before stepping onto a wooden stool and easing into the tub. With a splash, I knew she was in the tub, so I glanced her way. The tub overflowed, water cascading down like a waterfall. She popped out her head and shoulders, quickly ran her fingers through her hair, tucking it behind her ears. Then she turned towards me, her eyes twinkling.
好烫，好烫。梁叶，梁叶刚才没在看我呀。
She was surprised to realize I hadn't been looking at her and smiled brightly at me. Saw you. There's nothing worth fixating on.
梁叶觉得我很瘦吗？
Yeah, way too skinny. Looks kind of unhealthy. Hey, I'm stripping now. Turn around, don't peek.
嘿嘿，梁叶不想我看你的身体吗？
No, don't! Actually, I do.
梁叶都说了看过我的身体了，也让我看回来吧。
I'm uncomfortable.
除了爹爹，我还没看过其他男人的裸体，有些好奇呢。
No! Want a beating? Quite bold for your age, aren't you?
明明是梁叶不支持，非要让我跟你一起洗。
She's doing this because she's doing because she wants to get sent out, doesn't she?
好了，我说错了，别打我。
I scowled and stared her down, wordless like I was ready to rumble. She got spooked, turned her back, covered her eyes, and stayed quiet. I quickly undid my belt, tossed my clothes into a nearby basket, and sank into the pool. But darn, the water was too shallow. I could only get my lower half wet. My upper body was still out in the open. To wash up top, I had to scoop water with a wooden ladle and pour it over myself. Good thing I grabbed that ladle for the lambs earlier. It sure came in handy for me now.
哇，梁叶的身子好壮。
As I reached for the ladle, I heard Mansui's voice. She was leaning on the tub, curiously eyeing my body. Stop it! I found myself getting annoyed for no apparent reason. No! There's a very apparent reason. The tub sat higher than the pool, so as I lounged in the water, she peered down at me from... Girl, turn the fuck around now. She leaned against the tub, her chin propped on her arms, and looked down at me as if I were a child.
1、2、3、4、5、6、7。
What's with the counting?
我在数梁叶身上的疤，一条大的，好多条小的，为什么有那么多疤？
I'm wondering the same thing, Clay. I'm wondering. This game has overwhelmingly positive reviews, okay? I'm concerned. It hasn't given me an option to All from Blade's been dealing with mountain bandits and caravan guards for years. I'm not much for talk. When things get tough, fists fly. In the end, they're left dead while I'm left scarred. So we just... It's not! There's been no nudity! At all!
良爷杀过很多人吗？
It's Chinese, so I don't know if it would... If there were things like that, I don't know if it would be called hentai. Yeah, I
大
have.
概多少个？
Oh, I'm not This is a child, Clay. I don't know why she's in here with me. I need her out. I don't like it. Never counted. Dozens, maybe. Scared
不
now?
怕。
Quit fronting.
良爷，今天星爷好像不在，他去哪儿了？
Want to find a woman to have fun with. In the East District, there's this tavern packed with women. Curvy and busty, they put you skinny pups to shame.
那良爷为何不去和星爷一起？
I'm wondering the same fucking thing. If I went, who'd watch over you all? Not to mention that I'm not interested in those
不
places.
感兴趣。难道良爷喜欢男人？
Do we? You're really asking for it today.
不想，我不多嘴了。哎呀，张嘴，张嘴！话说，良爷现在还没娶媳妇儿吗？
I'm not planning to get married.
爹娘没给良爷安排吗？
My parents passed away long ago, so it's up to me. Getting married requires money and stability. I don't have enough of either right now, so I'm not getting married. If I can't even handle myself, why drag someone else into it?
也是。良爷想要什么样的媳妇儿？
One who's gentle, wise, and beautiful.
啊，好常见的想法。
What do you think I should want, then?
我不知道啊，男人该怎么想，我也不知道。但是，我若是嫁人的话，就想嫁给我爹爹那样的人，勤劳本分，长得好看，身体也壮。
Oh, this girl's gonna grow up with daddy issues. That's not good. Isn't that also a pretty common thought?
也是。
It's kind of funny, you know? You're sharing a bath with me.
哦，确实是如此。有了，那我以后嫁给
No!
良爷吧。
Nope! 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 No! No! I will quit this game so goddamn fast. No. Oh, thank God. Thank God, Liang. Thank fucking God.
什么不要？
I don't want someone like you. Even if you grow up 10 years older and become a knockout beauty, I wouldn't marry someone with your personality. Damn!
被良爷嫌弃了。
Mansui feigned tears, hiding her face in the wooden tub, though it was clear she wasn't really crying. Her earlier words were likely just jokes aiming to poke fun at me. This last, not a bit of honesty in her.
良爷为什么怕吕布啊？
Afraid of Lu Bu. Who the fuck is Lu Bu again? I don't remember. After a bit more soaking, Mansui suddenly lifted her head and asked, Huh? When was I afraid of Lu Bu?
上次学影子戏的时候，吕布
Oh,
刚要登场，
the
良
hero
爷就吓
from
得不敢看了。
the warrior from the Three Kingdoms. I'm not afraid of Lu Bu, it's just that Shadowplay brings back some bad memories.
什么事啊？
In the 6th year of Tianqi, there was a massive explosion in the capital. You heard about that?
不知道。
No. really are out of the loop.
良爷讲讲。
In the 6th year of Tianqi, about 6 years back, the ground shook in the capital and this huge fireball shot up into the sky, darkening everything in an instant. Houses collapsed like dominoes and over 20,000 folks got turned to dust. Damn! Big boom. Rocks, bodies, and bird corpses fell like rain from the sky. Elephants stampeded in panic, crushing the barely conscious below. Blood stained both the sky and the earth.
好恐怖。
Yeah, it was terrifying.
不过，良爷，这跟影子戏有什么关系？
When the explosion happened, my dad and I were watching a shadow play. Before I could react, the shadow play's white screen was shattered by the blast, sending us flying. I passed out. When I came to, my father's body was gone, just his arm left lying nearby where I was. I quietly shared the past with Mansui, something I hardly ever told anyone else. She listened without a word, her face showing no emotion, like she was picturing it all. Not knowing what was going through her mind, for a while of silence, I felt awkward and wished I hadn't spilled my guts to this lass. Forget it. I must be losing it. Why am I even talking to you about this? Get on with your bath. Once you're done, you'll be helping me with the laundry.
好呀，我来洗，给良爷都洗干净了。
You're still in good spirits, not sweating your own future at all. We're halfway there already. Based on what you said before, once we reach Liaoyang, you'll be eaten by the swine demon.
我知道啊，所以能过一天是一天。
Risking it all for revenge on your sister's killer? Sounds kind of reckless, don't you think? We haven't seen a sister in her chapters yet, in her flashback chapters yet, though, so is she talking about her brother? The dead rest easy, while the living struggle to survive. Your sister's gone and your family's lost enough. Seeking vengeance will only leave your family with one less person. What's the point? I questioned her and she fell silent for a moment. After a long pause, she finally spoke.
那良爷，我若是说不想去报仇，也不去洛阳了，良爷能放我走吗？
She asked, slowly, awaiting my answer. I kept quiet, unsure how to answer her. Even if she was telling the truth, I couldn't easily help her escape. Leaving aside whether Tung would agree. Just thinking about myself, I won't get paid until I finish the job, delivering them. If I didn't get them to their destination, I'd anger Yin-san's boss, lose my cash, and make an enemy. Sacrificing my own gain and taking risks for their sake, all in the name of doing a good deed. It wasn't my style, nor was it the way of the wolf. Ansui's eyes dimmed as she heard my reply. Then she looked away without a word. The white mist clouded her expression, making it hard for me to see. After a moment, I caught her soft murmur.
这样也好，那我也能安心了。
I watched her from afar, mulling over her words. She probably knew I couldn't let her go no matter what. Knew she had to go to Liaoyang and was able to avenge her sister's death with peace of mind, right? Poor thing. How could you take revenge all by yourself? Ugh. Wondered if she was telling the truth about the swine demon. The way she acted sometimes made me think her words weren't completely false. Could her words actually have some truth mixed in? Maybe it wasn't all lies. Before we hit Liaoyang, I had to find some chances to dig into this. Felt like that lamb was hiding something from me. Yin-san and Tung also seemed to be hiding something. Too many mysteries. Is Tung hiding stuff from me? I don't know if he is. I haven't got. He could. I could see it. Annoying. Last night, after Mansui and I bathed, we put on some clothes from the inn. After taking the lambs to relieve themselves in the inn's outhouse, I ushered them back to their room, After locking up, I went to bed. I had the lambs change back into their washed clothes, and that's when Tung showed up at the inn. There was no choice in... Yeah, there were no choices in Chapter 7.
嘿嘿，凉啊，我就知道你会早起，果然不假。
It's past mid-morning, not exactly early. Why the grin? Back from some fun?
是啊，李贵那边新来了几个姑娘，其中一个是真的漂亮，简直是在世西施啊。
You've seen Jishi?
没见过，但总之昨天那姑娘很美就是了。小杨呢？他们在哪儿？
Just changed clothes. They're resting in the room.
那你叫他们吧，咱准备去陕州了。
Hey, get out of the room! I yelled to the lambs on the second floor of the inn.
梁爷，我的裤裙还没有干，穿着有些凉。
Well, it'll dry in the sun. No time to fuss. Wear 'em wet for now. The sun will dry 'em soon. Ah! Ah! I'm smart.
哦，好。
I heard Hong Air's response. Shortly after, the lambs entered the inn's main hall.
哟哟哟，你们都洗了澡，差点让星爷我都认不出来了啊！一个个都长得挺水灵啊。哎呀，要不这单足够肥，我和你梁爷就该把你们独吞了。我们一人娶2个，找个山里生娃子去。
No, 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 we would not do that, Tung. That is disgusting. Fucking ew. I want to kill him now. Yeah, I'm killing Tung. I have decided I'm killing Tung. Cut it out with that nonsense. Still stuck on women?
哎，梁，你也真是开不起玩笑。
That's not a joke when it involves children, Tung. You don't say those... No.
哦啊，对了，我给小羊们带了礼物啊。
Goodies?
小羊们都过来！
Tung yelled out, and the lambs clustered around him. He tossed a cloth bundle onto the inn's wooden table, then untied the knot securing the cloth. The cloth unfurled at the corners, revealing shiny red candy balls.
哎呀，来的路上我看到街边有卖糖墩的啊，便给你们买了些，来吃吧。
He grinned, explaining where the candy balls came from, and inviting the lambs to grab some. The lambs looked at each other. They all wanted the candy, but nobody moved first.
快拿呀，愣着干啥？一人抓1块，再不拿我就收起来了啊！
Yeah, why is he being nice to the kids? He's never been nice. He shouted again and pretended to take the candy balls back. Finally, unable to resist, Hong Air grabbed a piece and gave it to her sister before taking one for herself. Mansui and Xianghua took some as well. The lambs started munching on their candy balls. I've had these candy balls once before. Probably sugared up berries. Sour and sweet, loved them as a kid. No wonder the lambs were all over them. Strange to see Tung being so nice. I peeked at him. He was watching the lambs eat, a smile in his eyes, lightly biting his lip, lost in thought as he watched them. I don't fucking trust Tung. Alright, that interaction has me really not trusting Tung anymore. After the lambs gobbled up the candy balls, we hit the road. Our next stop was Shanzhou. It's even bigger than Huazhu, the busiest place along our journey apart from Liaoyang. It'd take us another 3 or 4 days to get there from Wenjiang. We bought some supplies and headed into the mountains east of Wenjiang. As soon as we hit the mountain paths, they hardly said a word. After the lambs annoyed me with their chatter yesterday, today's silence made me feel off. Tonight, I'm on first watch. Tung and the lambs were all asleep. Feeling a bit bored, I strolled over to the luggage hanging off the saddle and pulled out the wooden box with the shadow puppets. It saved us when we ran into those soldiers last time. Since then, Tung hasn't griped about me carrying this box along. Oops. I was planning to buy some donkey hides and sticks in Wangjiang, make some puppets to kill time. I rushed too much, totally forgot. Guess I'll grab them in Shanzhou. Bigger place, more stuff.
梁叶又在翻木箱子，是想再学吗？
As I opened up the box of shadow play, I heard Mansui's soft voice from behind. I looked at her. Didn't confirm, didn't deny either.
那给我解开。
She grinned and nodded towards the rope at her waist. I helped Mansui undo the rope, then we found a spot near the camp to do our thing. I picked up the wooden box and started walking ahead, with her following behind.
良夜，
I hadn't gone far when she called out. What is it?
走路的时候能牵着我的手吗？路有点黑，我怕踩空跌下山去。
She looked up, waiting for my answer. We'll be nice. Okay. She reached out her hand and I started by grabbing her arm, but it was awkward since her arm was short, so I just held her hand directly. Her hand was small and my palm nearly covered her whole hand. It felt bony, with soft skin but little flesh, and the bones underneath were clear. Hey, why didn't you ask me to hold your hand when it was dark before?
当时怕良夜听了后发火，不敢提。
And now you're not scared?
怕还是怕的，只是现在更了解良夜了。我知道良夜气量大，不会因为小事发火。
The lass knew how to talk. Right here is good. We walked about 50 steps and found a cliff. We sat down there. Mansui opened the wooden box and started sorting through its contents. Did your dad teach you shadow play?
前几年家里还有余粮的时候，爹爹都会在晚上教我。
What was he like?
爹爹长得和良夜差不多高，身体强壮，待人温和。干农活的时候，也是我们村里最勤奋的。他对我也很好。家里最困难的时候，有人来问要不要卖女儿，他没有卖我，还把那人骂了一顿。我记得一次躺在他身边睡觉的时候，听到他的梦话里都是我。 他希望我以后长大，嫁个好人家，吃一辈子的饱饭。
Your dad seems like a good man. I'm a bit confused. If you love your dad so much, why leave him behind to seek revenge for your sister?
之前就跟良夜说过呀，姐姐的鬼魂一直缠着我，给我托梦，我没有办法，必须要给她报仇。
I glanced at Mansui, wondering if what she said about her sister was real or made up. Years of experience gave me a gut feeling. Her stories about her dad felt genuine, but when it came to her sister, I had my doubts.
良夜的爹爹是什么样的人？
Just as I was doubting her words, she asked me a question as well. It's been quite a few years now. I need to think. What sort of man was my dad? He was actually a decent guy. After hesitating for a moment, I gave my dad that kind of evaluation. My mother died early. She passed away when I was born and raised me alone, never remarried. He was a trader for years, hauling goods from Henan to Hebei. Sometimes even at the capital. I often tagged along. But he had his faults. Two things stand out. First, he couldn't kick the drinking habit. It often got in the way, and when he was drunk, he'd sometimes lash out at me, left a scar on my arm once when I was young. Second, he was stubborn as a mule. Being a merchant himself, he insisted I follow suit, but I wasn't cut out for dealing with people. Wouldn't have done well in business. In the days before he passed, we argued plenty about what I should do. Never did come to an agreement. Then he was gone.
我很想知道，良夜本来想做什么呀？
What's it to you? Stop prying. Let's just do a shadow play.
好，
No, I want to know, what did we originally want to do? Mansui nodded and helped me get ready for the shadow play. We lit a fire and set up the white screen. She sat behind it, I sat in front. She arranged the puppets and took up the sticks to start tonight's show. Mansui did the shadow play, and this time I finally heard the three heroes battle Lu Bu all the way through. I didn't stop halfway due to fear. Even though my heart still raced and I sweated when the puppet weapons clashed, I didn't look away and saw it through. Afterwards, she taught me for another hour. Seeing her looking tired and worrying that Tongue might wake up, I suggested we call it a night. On the way back, we chatted for a bit.
对了，梁爷，有件事想提醒你一下。
Yes?
星夜自从那晚出去住了后，有点不太对劲。
I agree. What do you mean?
他明显对我们更好了，送了糖墩儿给我们吃，也不再是骂骂咧咧的了。
I don't think my microphone picked that up, but someone just drove their vehicle really, revved their car or motorcycle. I don't know what it was. Really fucking loud. Isn't that a good thing?
不对，这不是好事。
I agree, it is not a good thing.
梁爷，我有点怕，星夜看我们的眼神不太对。
I mean, I can kill him in his sleep right now. I have no qualms about it. He said some weird fucking shit. Mansui said it seriously, and I sat there pondering her words. And here's the thing. We kill Tongue. We don't gotta share the money. I'll need to keep a close watch on Tongue in the days ahead. After that, we trekked for 3 more days. In the daytime, we kept moving, and at night, if Mansui was up, I watched her do her shadow play. I started getting the hang of it, setting up the screen, adjusting the fire, and moving the shadows around. I even picked up some lines from the 3 Heroes Battle Lu Bu. But without instruments or more materials like donkey hides and sticks, I couldn't learn everything until we got to Shanju. As Mansui mentioned, Tongue's been acting strange since that night he went out. Before, if a lamb needed to go, he'd never be happy about it. If he was in a good mood, he might joke about it, calling them pee machines. If he was in a bad mood, he'd get mad, not letting them go, and might even act like he was going to hit them. But now, when the lambs need to go, he'll agree with a smile and even help Quiere untie the rope from her from around her waist. He also became more generous with the lamb's rations. Before, when he handed out rations, he was always stingy, but now he's become very generous, making sure the lambs eat until they're almost full, each time. He even often said, when we get to the city of Shanju, I'll treat you to a good meal. This really wasn't like him. It was definitely unusual. The night before we got to Shanju, it was Tongue's turn to keep watch. I ate my rations, saw the lambs were sleeping, and figured it was a good time to have a talk with Tongue. Tongue, I called out to him.
怎么了？
He looked at me, puzzled. Let's find a quiet spot to chat. Got something I want to talk about. I talked to Tongue seriously, then stood up. Tongue got up too and followed me. After walking about 30 steps, we reached a spot where the lambs couldn't see us.
干嘛呀，梁？神神秘秘的，大晚上的有什么事儿找我？
Tongue frowned, tilted his head, and asked me with confusion. Tongue, I feel like something is off with you these past couple days. Ever since you met Li Gui and Wenjiang, you've been acting different.
啊？我怎么没觉得？哪里不一样了？
I just feel like you've been extra nice to these lambs all of a sudden, more caring than before. And I just can't shake the feeling that you're hiding something from me.
瞒着你？哎呦，梁爷，这是你的错觉吧？我啊，这是相处久了，不烦他们了，自然就会对他们好一些。这有什么好奇怪的吗？
No, being nicer doesn't explain such a big change. Tongue, we've known each other for 5 years. If you have anything to hide from me, I can see it now. There's definitely something you're not telling me. I looked directly at Tongue, my eyes sharp. He seemed uneasy and cleared his throat before speaking up.
行，你非要知道，那我就告诉你吧。其实我本来也没想瞒你，原本打算到洛阳再告诉你的。我从李贵那边知道，我们被尹三儿那小子贪了一笔钱， 尹三儿给我们400两是给少了。收小羊的人其实给了2000两，按照道上的规矩，尹三儿至少要给我们500两，他多黑了100两。李贵给我指了一条明路，他介绍了一个人，让我们到洛阳城里去找李贵介绍的人，可以逼尹三儿把多吃的钱吐出来。
Is Yin-san going to be in Liaoyang? Tung started talking and spilled the beans on what he'd hidden from me. Yin-san cheated us out of 100 taels. Was that it? No. Something's still not adding up. Yeah, no, that's a shitty... like, why are you suddenly... Just because we got shorted 100 taels does not give enough explanation to your change in behavior. Like, if anything, that would give you more animosity to these kids. I feel like at least what we've been presented of Tung's personality, he seems the type to get more pissed than nicer to the cargo here upon being shorted. When he spoke, he wouldn't look me in the eye. Thus, Tung, you're still hiding something from me. I might not know much about trading, but even I can tell that 2,000 taels for 4 lambs is too much, especially during a famine. You can buy a lamb for just a few taels or a few dozen at most. Even if our lambs look better, they can't be that expensive.
我哪知道啊？这次就是给钱特别多的大肥羊，我不一开始就跟你说了。
That's not what I'm talking about. I lowered my voice, interrupting Tung angrily. Tung, I need to know where these lambs are headed, and how they'll be treated. You've been keeping something from me. There's a reason for such a big payout. It can't be for nothing. If you don't come clean about what you've been hiding, when we reach Shanzhou, I will keep the lambs and find out myself. I got really mad at Tung and asked him each question one by one. He looked at me, seeing how serious I was, and bit his lip. Then, surprisingly, he started laughing.
哎呀，梁啊，你还真是铁了心想知道啊！其实本来也没什么不好告诉你的，只是我太了解你了。你听后必定怪我之前没说清楚，或者畏手畏脚，不想继续做这活了。
Tung chuckled oddly as he spoke to me.
而且，有些事你不知道，比知道要安全。搞不好有一天，我会因为知道这事儿被杀了。你若是不知道，还能保命。哪怕如此，你还想知道吗？
After that strange laugh, Tung turned serious and stared right at me. This time I saw a bit of kindness in his eyes. Even though we're both selfish wolves, we've been traveling together for 5 years. This was his last warning, really hoping I wouldn't find out. But I had to know. Spill it. I hesitated for a moment, then spoke to Tung with seriousness.
行吧，那我就都给你讲清楚吧。
Tung chuckled with a mix of mockery and sadness. Then he started explaining.
其实我们这次送的小羊，不是要送去给肥羊养的，而是要送去给某个大人物做寿宴。
Birthday feast? What does that mean?
字面意思。
Just what it sounds like? I didn't quite get it.
洛阳城里有位大人，他天生富贵命，一辈子不愁吃穿，整日只需寻欢作乐，传宗接代。几年前，他玩腻了寻常的事，便有了一个怪异的癖好。每年他诞辰将近，他都会从穷苦人家收上几只小羊，用作菜人。
Okay, so there is actually a swine demon in Liaoyang.
李贵、尹三儿啊，还有一个我也不知道是谁，分布在3个地方的人牙子，都是给他做事儿的。这3个地方轮着来，每年都有一个地方会给那位大人卖几只小羊，顺序一般不会变。
Now wait a minute though. The dude at the inn, back in that town we were just in, said that he had just delivered some or something.
哎呀，只有今年比较特别，那位大人竟要了2次。
Okay, yeah.
李贵不久前已经送了几只小羊， 但那位大人却找影三儿又新要了几只。
No, there's something more off. I don't trust you, Tongue. Why?
李贵跟我说，他猜那位大人是没有按照惯例做事儿，便想补一次，重新叫一次小羊。
The usual way? What's the usual way in eating people?
梁，真不知你是真傻还是在装傻。你以为那位大人500两买一只小羊会直接煮了吃？那位大人又不是真的饿啊，他吃人的理由跟我们这些穷神上身的人可不一样。他吃人不是为了饱腹，不是为了活命，只是为了满足他填不满的欲望。那位大人10几年前就腻了女色，开始进男色；10年前又腻了男色，便开始找小羊。找了没2年，便有了吃小羊的癖好。那位大人重300-400斤，腰比水缸粗，像是一只大蟒蛇。他喜欢玩弄那些小羊，压着它们，贴在他们的脸庞，亲耳去听那最清晰的呜咽声、哭泣声。等大人到了最尽兴的时候，小羊也差不多被压得骨头快断了，喘不过气了。这时候，大人再去活吃它们，就像是蟒蛇吃猎物一样。李贵跟我说，他送的小羊里有一只很烦、嘴碎又不懂事儿。他猜测那位大人可能是被这小羊气到，在惯例前便杀了他。哎呀，不过我们这次不用担心，新补的这个小哑巴不仅长得好看，懂事儿还不说话。我估摸着，那位大人就喜欢这样的。
Tongue told me the details. Hearing what he said, I couldn't help but tighten my fists. I thought being a bandit for years would toughen me up, but just imagining what Tongue described made me feel sick. Who was that big shot, really? I asked, my voice trembling as I inquired about the identity of that big shot.
梁啊，我本来是不想让你知道的，但都讲到这儿了，你也没什么回头路了，不如就一起和我担着。那位大人呐，做事儿像蟒，本人更是一条通天蟒。他呀，当年差点化了龙，哪怕是京城里的万岁爷，都要给他面子，叫他一声叔。
Is it that general secretary or whatever the title was? Is it Yuan? Python. Heavenly Python. I knew what Python signifies, and I knew who the person was that even the Emperor must address as uncle. If it's in Liao Yang, then the identity of that big shot was even clearer. He's truly a towering figure, someone I absolutely cannot afford to offend.
梁，不要想着这次的活就这么
It's
算
gotta be
了。
Yuan, right?
这些事你既然都听了，咱就得做到底。这活如果我们中途不做了，不光是钱没了，命也得丢了。毕竟那位大人不会想留一个不做事的活口。所以，你好自为之啊，不如就跟我一样去接受这件事。在最后的这段路上，咱俩都对那些小羊好一些，免得他们死后成了鬼，找咱们寻仇。他们生在那样的家里，本就是要被饿死的，不如咱陪他们最后过段好日子，再送他们早点上路。
Okay, it does start to explain his change in behavior a bit, but he still doesn't seem the type to... I still don't trust him.
不过我也有想过啊，若是让小羊开开心心的去见那位大人，兴许我们能多领一些赏钱，你说是吧？
Tongue joked with me, but I stayed silent, caught in a storm of feelings. A weight pressed down on my chest, lingering. Shock, anger, disappointment, worry, and confusion churned inside me. The swine demon eats people. Her sister was eaten. She seeks revenge for her sister. Now I knew. Mount Sweet told me stories I once doubted, but most of them were true. Grandma was buried, her body resting in the backyard. The day after her death, my brother and I each had a bowl of thin porridge before Mom put us to bed. After making sure we were asleep, Mom quietly called out to Dad. Dad gently lifted Grandma's body from the bed and wrapped her in a straw mat. They carefully carried Grandma out of the house, and Mom closed the door behind them as they left. Then, right when I was dozing off, I heard the sound of a shovel digging in the backyard. The next morning, I asked where Grandma went, and Dad told me Grandma was in the backyard. I went to check in the backyard. There was a small pile of dirt with some of Grandma's favorite old items placed beside it. That was likely where Grandma was buried.
我觉得还是不行。
I want to see the flowchart. Okay, so that's going to be chapter 3, 4. Chapter 3, chapter 7. Did I miss? Possibly? No.
什么不行？
咱妈葬的不行，咱不该就这么葬了她。一会儿我要去镇上买一件寿衣，一口棺材，再把咱妈葬一次，至少要和咱爹葬在一起啊。
这得花多少钱？我们哪来这么多钱？
拿粮食换吧，我算了算，不多，也就半个月的粮。
半个月的粮，那可是我们半个月的命，不行。
又不多，我越想越不对，咱妈死了不能就这么囫囵埋了。咱没钱给她办得风光，至少也得买个棺材给她安个家呀。咱再穷也有个屋子住，不能让咱妈成了孤魂野鬼。至于粮，那我只好有办法弄。
Dad said to Mom, his voice gradually growing louder. Not long after, the room was filled with Mom's sobbing, Dad's angry shouts, and my younger brother's crying. I stood frozen in the backyard, staring at the small mound of dirt where Grandma was buried, my hand resting on top of it. I didn't dare to return to the house, afraid to confront my parents who were arguing. It didn't take long for my parents to stop talking about the burial. At noon, a tax official came. This tax official brought 2 official soldiers, and they kicked our door open the second they got here.
哎，交粮了啊！我们来收8斗米的粮。有粮交粮，没粮的拿等量的银子换。
Tax official shouted loudly while the other 2 soldiers started rummaging through our house.
关老爷是不是走错门了？不是年前刚交了粮，不该再交粮啊！
住你们旁边的那户人家跑了，你们不知道？
啊，您是说沈家吗？他们跑了，这我们不知道啊。
管他沈家王家，他们跑了，你必须得知道。按照朝廷律法，他们跑了没人交粮，我便要从你这儿收粮。
不行，不行啊，关老爷，这么多年我还是头一回知道这律法。
那是你知道晚了，这都是上头的命令，我也是给上头办事的，也不知好歹。
关老爷，我们是真的没粮了呀！前年大旱，去年也是大旱，连着2年没有下一滴雨，种的东西早死完了。我们家还有2个小娃要养，每天吃了上顿没下顿，还在想着去哪儿借粮呢。这
头儿，他们有粮，看这缸里至少藏了1袋。
拿8斗出来！
哎，不能拿，不能拿！哎，关老爷，我求求你们了，这都是我们的活命粮啊，真不能拿呀！要么你们别往上跑，3个老爷每人拿1斗米走吧，好不好？
滚蛋！
What was that noise? Is that really how you'd pronounce? That's a... Huh. I didn't think that's how piss off would sound in Chinese.
老子也不想你们家娃子饿死，大发慈悲给你们留了2斗米。你们别吵，再吵我们把剩下的也拿走。
I heard Dad's pleading voice and the sound of the official soldiers shoving him around. They drew their swords, rummaged through our belongings, packed the grain we relied on to survive into bags, and then took those bags away. Dad and Mom were beaten by them, and my younger brother kept crying. In the end, they still took the grain away. I stayed in the backyard, crouched on the ground and covered my ears since I was too afraid to listen. Oh, God.
这些个绑客、兵贼，不得好死的玩意儿！
After the tax official and the official soldiers left, Dad slammed his fist against the wall, cursing bitterly in frustration.
刚才你还想着要给娘买棺材，现在倒好，我们4口人只有2斗米，连1个月都活不了。才儿、穗儿、我、你，我们一家子都要饿死了。
别哭了，我之前就说了有办法的。
有什么办法？娘卖了后院那宝贝。
不行，娘死前特别说了，传家宝怎么着也不能卖。
那怎么办？
我以前就想过，实在没办法的时候，就带着我爹当年留下来的那堆东西去演影子戏。
Dad sighed, his hand resting on the edge of the bed as he spoke to Mom.
你当真？戏子是最贱的下九流。你爹当初好不容易摆脱了这身份，说不许你再演的。
现在这光景，再演也是没办法。影子戏再贱，也是一门手艺。这手艺，若是能让我们活下来，那我就必须得演。
你去什么地方演？
去临镇。 甘泉那边，
要是被熟人瞧见了怎么办？
如今这世道，瞧见就瞧见了呗，先活下来最重要啊！我收拾一下，今天就赶路去隔壁镇子，演上几天，换到足够的粮后就来找你们。
As Dad spoke, he began rummaging through the wooden chest under the bed. Inside the wooden box were the items Grandpa had left him for performing shadow play.
爹，我也要去。
I heard Dad packing, so I hurried into the room, eager to join him. A couple of years back, Dad taught me a bit of drumming and shadow manipulating, giving me a rough idea of how to perform.
穗儿，演影子戏贱，你不能去。
是啊，你这小女娃凑什么热闹？若是落下了闲话，你以后都嫁不出去。
Dad and Mom both forbade me from going after hearing that I wanted to perform shadow play.
闲话就闲话吧，爹爹也说了，现在我们能活下来最重要。我也想给家里出一份力。而且，爹爹你忘了吗？你以前说了，影子戏至少要4只手才能演好。而且，我也想多学一门手艺。
I muttered to my parents, my eyes pleading.
行吧。 多个谋生的手艺也好。
Dad sighed reluctantly, seemingly agreeing to let me accompany him. Dad and I walked out the door, heading to town on foot. Dad carried the wooden box in one hand and held mine in the other, as we made our way to the neighboring town. The town next to our village is called Gangtran. Despite its name meaning sweet spring, just like our village, it had also been affected by the drought, with no spring to be seen. However, Dad mentioned that during major disasters, life in the city is better than in the town, and life in the town is better than in the village. With more people around, there's mutual support, preventing as much death or fleeing. That's a neat way to look at it. We arrived at Ganshan town in the evening. As soon as we got to the town, Dad found an open space by the street. He lit a bonfire and rummaged through the wooden box. Before long, he set up the white screen for shadow play.
瞧一瞧，看一看，来看影子戏喽！武松打虎，三英战吕布，牛郎织女，100铜钱开演，有钱捧个钱场，没钱捧个人场。
Dad called out at the street, attracting passers-by to watch the show. As he threaded the shadow puppets onto bamboo sticks, he continued his pitch to attract passersby. Dad's voice was a little quiet and a bit strained. Despite the bustling crowd, no one stopped to watch. I was bored to death, so I started chatting with Dad.
爹爹，你在给什么小人穿竹签啊？
我在给吕布穿竹签儿，一会儿若是谁点了3英战吕布，我便能立即给他演，不用他在旁边等了。
那我来帮爹爹吧。
好啊，那你穿这个张翼德吧。
这是张翼德，关云长是哪个呀？
这个。
Dad worked on Lu Bu while he pointed out Guan Yu for me.
瞧一瞧，看一看，来看影子戏，100铜钱开演喽！
Dad continued threading the bamboo sticks while calling out loudly. Half an hour passed, but still no one paid any money. However, a few people did gather around. 3 beggarly-looking uncles and 2 kids who looked even younger than me formed a circle around us. They curiously watched Dad and our setup, but didn't say a word.
爹爹，为什么没有人掏钱呢？
I leaned in close to Dad's ear and asked him softly.
看来，这个镇上的人懂行啊。
Dad whispered in my ear.
懂行？
影子戏得等到完全天黑的时候才好看。现在太阳刚落山，懂行的人呢都不看。
Dad had finished threading all the puppets onto the bamboo sticks and was waiting for the first paying audience. He gave a faint smile, appearing quite relaxed, as if he didn't care how the business was stewing. Another hour passed. It was gradually getting dark out. The sky became quite dark, making us brighter by comparison. Still, no one paid, but there were more spectators around us. We were surrounded by 4 beggars, 3 kids, and an old grandma and grandpa who even got their own stools. But still, nobody paid any money, and Dad's expression grew darker. He wasn't looking relaxed anymore, he seemed rather grim.
爹爹，好像还是没人掏钱，人挺多了。我们要不先演？
先演吧。
Dad nodded in agreement, offering a simple response to my suggestion. It seemed like he was ready to perform. He intended to showcase the shadow play to the people around, and then persuade them to pay later. Dad handed me the drum and crouched down to organize things. With squinting eyes, he adjusted the frame supporting the white screen. The firelight cast a glow on the white screen, tinting Dad's face with a reddish hue. Beads of sweat formed on his temples, trickled down his cheek, and gathered at his chin. He closed his eyes, then opened them again. He took a deep breath, glanced at the onlookers, and finally began to sing.
白袍，我家素宝金，丈八蛇矛手内围。
He does not have a singer's voice.
鲸鱼，吕布去交战，贼命难逃张翼德。
Dad sang loudly while controlling Zhang Fei in his hand. Zhang Fei entered the stage on a horse, wielding the serpent spear in his hand. He darted from one side to the other, charging back and forth behind the white screen. I was captivated.
Sir.
Dad called out to me softly and gave me a nod. It was then that I realized he was urging me to beat the drum. Oh. I quickly picked up the drum and started beating it in a lively rhythm.
催马来至两军阵，叫马贼人来交锋哎。
Dad controlled Zhang Fei and sang another line, accompanied by my drumming. The audience cheered and applauded enthusiastically. Seemingly encouraged by the warm applause, Dad sang with even more fervor. To keep up with Dad's rhythm, I also worked even harder on the drumming. The drum beat echoed, blending seamlessly with the surrounding applause and providing a rhythmic accompaniment to Dad's singing.
残鹰战吕布演完了，演出不易，劳烦各位看官多赏点铜板。若是没有铜板，也可以给些粮食，我们什么都要。多谢，多谢。
After the performance, Dad stepped forward to the front of the white screen and bowed to the audience. Meanwhile, he was handing over the wooden box to the audience, hoping someone in the crowd would toss in a coin or two. However, the audience exchanged looks for a few seconds before dispersing in different directions. No one gave us any food, let alone money. All that remained were scattered sunflower hulls, the dying embers of the bonfire, and the mocking waves of laughter drifting in from afar.
真是一群穷鬼，戏都看了，钱是一点都不给。
Dad angrily muttered a curse as he set the wooden box down beside him. After performing for so long, he not only failed to earn any money or food, but also drove away the audience.
唉，整个镇子都受了大灾，家家都囤着钱粮救命，哪能为了看戏花钱呢？
His dad sat there resigned. An elderly man approached from afar.
趁早回家吧，啊，一会儿冷了，别让你女娃着凉。
He sighed, then walked past the white screen and placed something in Dad's wooden box. I leaned over and peeked into the wooden box. It was a perfectly intact ear of corn. Each kernel gleamed like yellow jewels under the moonlight. After that, Dad stopped performing shadow play. He packed the items into the wooden box one by one, and I helped him tidy up. Unable to find a place to sleep, we then decided to spend a night in the run-down temple in town. Inside the temple was hay spread out with 3 beggars sleeping on one side and us on the other. These 3 beggars had also watched the show earlier. When they saw Dad arrive, they whispered and chuckled mockingly from a distance. Dad didn't say anything. He held me in his arms without saying a word as we huddled on one side of the temple.
爹爹，为什么这些人都不给钱呢？
I leaned against my dad and asked him with my hands grabbing his rough tunic.
是不是100铜钱太贵了？50个铜钱，可能就有人给钱了。
I clenched his rough tunic tightly.
我觉得就是太贵了，戏挺好看的，就是贵，所以才没人看。爹爹，你怎么不说话呀？
I slightly raised my voice.
别吵了！
Dad yelled angrily before turning around and gripping my shoulder fiercely as if he was going to crush it. His shout made my body tremble violently. Coupled with the strength of his grip, I felt both pain and fear. I stared at Dad with my eyes wide open. It was my first time seeing Dad this mad. It was as if he transformed into a different person who shared no resemblance with him whatsoever. He was petty, irritable, and volatile, completely devoid of the gentle demeanor he had shown me years ago when he gave me this sweet potato to eat. What was wrong with him? I felt aggrieved and wanted to cry. My nose tingled and my tears swirled in my eyes for a bit before they began to fall, uncontrollably.
Sir.
Seeing me cry, Dad suddenly panicked. The light in his eyes flickered and his mouth twitched a few times. He then reached over and hugged me tightly, pulling me into his arms.
Sir, 对不起啊，爹爹不该凶你了，对不起，对不起啊。
On the straw mat, Dad held me in his arms and apologized to me with a crying tone tinged with self-blame. I held on to Dad and cried uncontrollably. It was as if my emotions found an outlet and all the pent-up grievances and fears turned into tears. I didn't blame Dad. I knew it was hard for him. It had been too hard for him. It's why he was like this. Dad slept for a bit with me in his arms. I didn't sleep for long before I began asking Dad some questions out of concern.
爹爹，我会死吗？
不会的，我不会让你死的。
那爹爹会死吗？
人早晚都要死的。爹爹暂时不会死，因为要养穗儿和彩儿。至少要看你们长大了，爹爹那时候才能死啊。
不行，我不让爹爹死，爹爹不能死，不能死。
好，好，爹爹不死，不死。
I started crying again while hugging my dad. This time, I was the one who hugged him tighter. He also responded by embracing me back, gently patting my back to comfort me. I had no idea when I fell asleep as well. I just remembered lying in Dad's arms, and it felt really warm. The next day, we woke up in the run-down temple. In the early morning, we headed to the only pawn shop in Guanchan town. Dad sold the wooden box Grandpa left him, exchanging it for 500 copper coins. Then he made several trips to households in the town, exchanging coins for food. At noon, Dad held my hand while carrying a basket of food as we headed in the direction of home. On our way back, I stole a glance at Dad. He looked very tired, with a pale face and a mixture of uneven white hairs among his dark ones. Since when was it like this? Dad got old all of a sudden, and he stopped smiling too. Selection. I want to see the flowchart. Oh gosh. There's no way we're finishing this. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be a 3-stream game.
怎么啦，凉？怎么不说话了？你还是处了呀？不打算干了？
In the woods, Tongue spilled it all. After he smirked, waiting on my answer. Thud. I slammed him against the tree, arm to his neck. Son of a bitch, you didn't tell me those lambs were meant for lamb dishes? You said the job was about feeding the lambs and sending them off to rich folks' daughters. All fucking bullshit. I yelled at Tongue, muscles tensed, my face twisted in anger.
喂，你他妈怎么还急眼了呢？我一开始也不知道这活是这样的，要不是向李贵打听，谁他妈能知道？这种活咱们怎么可能一开始就知道？但是1人500两银子，咱们不做也有其他人做。
I continued to glare angrily at Tongue, my eyes blazing with fury.
凉，看开点，咱一起干活这么多年了，手上也没少沾血。死在你手里的人，没有80也有50了。虽说你从来没有杀过妇孺啊，但若是离家在外的男人死了，刘家的没了顶梁柱，早晚也要死全家。嘿，少在这跟我假清高！你以往没直接杀小羊，但早不知害死了多少小羊了。那这次的活儿也不是让你直接杀小羊，又有什么区别呢？
Ooh, moral dilemma. I stayed quiet. Tongue's words hit me hard. My determination wavered and my arm pressing against him eased up.
他妈的凉！想想那一年的京城大爆炸，不管是好人坏人，男人女人一下就给炸没了。
Tongue shoved me hard, breaking free from my grip.
天道本就是无常的，好人不一定长命百岁，坏人也不一定就会遭报应。世上的一切，人说了都不算，只有老天爷说了算。不管我们是好人还是坏人，哪一天说死就死了。那我们为什么不为自己活着？啊？我们活得更好，这有什么不对？
Tongue tidied up his clothes, teeth clenched, and spoke to me with frustration. I lowered my head and pondered his words, remaining silent.
凉，你自己考虑考虑吧。我最后再提醒你2句。 这事儿咱们办了，先不说荣华富贵，攀了这种级别的大贵人，哪怕之后咱被官府捉住，也没人敢砍咱们，因为他需要咱们给他做事儿。这事儿咱们不办，也一定会有其他人去办。天下都是人家的，若是反抗他，只有一个结果，没命！呸！
With that, Tung spat and headed back towards camp. I stood there, memories of the blood rain from the 6th year of Tianqi flooding my mind. After that explosion, everything I cherished became meaningless. Wealth, emotions, bonds, even principles. Words I never said to my father, the ones he never spoke to me. My dreams, his dreams, our conflicts all lost their significance. I've been living in emptiness, like a walking corpse. I should have known better. Nothing matters except staying alive. If I never knew these lambs, their fate wouldn't concern me in the slightest. Now that I do, can I really send them to the swine demon? I didn't give Tung a clear answer and returned to the camp alone afterwards. Back at camp, I should have slept, but couldn't. Watching the lambs slumber, thoughts raced through my mind. Tong Er and Cuier, sisters, were from poor backgrounds. The older one looked after the younger, who, despite her age, was quite sensible. Then there's Qianghua. Her father was originally a lofty official, but was exiled to the border due to political changes, causing the family to fall. Despite it all, she's smart and reasonable, quite mature. Mansui, the smartest, knew it all from the start, seeking vengeance for her sister. She wasn't scared to die, and she's sharp. Always aimed to go after that big shot. Oh, to take down that swine demon for revenge. That was not too hopeful, but had to admit, if she can keep that blade hidden and catch him off guard, that swine demon just might meet his end at her hands. After all, when she came at me with that blade, she was swift and decisive. A regular person might have been caught off guard. Can she pull it off? If she messes up, what's the swine demon gonna do to her? And if she pulls it off, what chaos will that stir up in Liao Yang, or beyond? And then will I be implicated for sending her there? Started dozing off with unanswered questions. Slept about 2 hours, then Tung woke me to switch shifts. We kept watch a bit longer, and hit the road again the next day. We got to Shanzhou in about 4 hours. Before reaching the gate, we untied the ropes from the lambs' waists. Tung reminded them sternly not to cause any trouble. At the gate, guards checked our pass from Yinsan. After a few questions about the lambs, we got into Shanzhou. The streets of Shanzhou were wide and bustling with a sense of prosperity unlike Huazhu or Wenjiang. Perhaps because we had moved eastward, there were fewer refugees on the street, giving the illusion of a peaceful and prosperous era. There were vendors, traveling merchants, and even performing monkeys. A monkey trainer with a turban guided 3 monkeys through a series of tricks, prompting spectators to drop silvers into his copper bowl. After a stroll, Tung led us to a grim inn located in a secluded part of the city. This inn was similar to the ones in Huazhu and Wenjiang, situated in a remote area of the city. This inn only catered to special guests like us on a mission.
妈的，走了这么多天，终于到陕州了。哎呦，哎，瞧这道修的啊，宽，这么宽才算是大城市啊，是不是啊，梁？嘿嘿，梁爷不愧是去过京城的人啊，陕州城都瞧不上了。
I stayed silent. Tung smirked and I brushed it off.
一会儿咱们先去客栈，今天都休息好了啊，好吃好喝，第2天咱们再出发。星爷今天高兴，自掏腰包请你们吃顿好的，想吃啥等会儿跟我说，到时候找个厨子烧个菜，咱在客栈里摆一桌。
Tung led the way, speaking to the lambs, following behind. He tried to cheer up the lambs, but they remained somber. Maybe the lambs sensed the tension between us. None of them seemed cheerful.
来来 都说说想吃什么？哎，说呀啊，不用跟我客气啊，想吃什么说什么。来，小翠你先说。
肉馒头。
Meat buns. What the hell are meat buns?
什么？大点声！
星爷，我妹子想吃肉馒头。
行，记住了。那
我想吃菜馒头，咸菜的最好，没有的话就要白菜的。
哟吼，你是小羊到顶挑啊！哎，那到时候找找吧。其他人呢？
想吃鱼，什么鱼都行。
肉馒头、菜馒头、鱼，那等会儿就买这些。哦，小哑巴说不了话。海良，你想吃什么？
Anything's fine for me.
好，那要不你和小哑巴出门去买些菜，再补充一些咱之后吃的干粮，银子我给。
No need. I'll handle the money, but why me and her?
他不能说话，不能说想吃啥，那他跟你去想吃啥，你给他买啊。再说了，你买这么多东西，不是也缺个帮着提溜的人吗？
I don't trust you with the rest of the kids. With a grin, Tung urged me and Mansui to hurry up and buy rations, insisting we come back to him for money. I knew exactly why he wanted Mansui and me to go shopping together. When we arrived at a city, it was customary to replenish our supplies. Usually, Tung took care of this task. He was more eloquent, sophisticated, and skilled at bargaining. However, this time, he specifically instructed me to buy groceries, probably due to his lack of trust in me. My failure to give a clear response last night likely contributed to his suspicion. He didn't want me staying at the inn anymore, fearing what I might say to the 4 lambs if left alone with them. Even worried I might set them free. The reason he was fine with Mansui coming with me was that he thought she was mute and less likely to cause trouble. Alright, you stay at the inn, keep an eye on the other lambs. I'll take her shopping. I glanced at Tung, then at Mansui. Then I grabbed the silver in the bundle and headed out with Mansui. Changzhou's streets were livelier than Waozhou. They were filled with shops, including taverns, tea houses, pawn shops, and workshops. People brushed past each other as they walked. Looks like the monkey performer from earlier finished his act and went back with his monkeys.
杨爷，
After a few hundred steps from the inn, Mansui, silent until then, suddenly addressed me. What? Glancing at her, it seemed she had no intention of pretending to be mute anymore.
我们先去买什么？
Market, grabbing rations, fish, and buns. Tung already got their orders, so I'm set. How about you? Anything specific you want?
我没有啊，梁爷选自己喜欢吃的就好。这么一想的话，有一个东西很想吃。如果梁爷看到番薯的话，就买一个吧。
Sweet potatoes? What's that?
梁爷竟然不知道番薯？
Honestly, never heard of it. Didn't come across it even in the capital.
那我教你了，番薯是海外来的稀罕货，吃了能长寿。
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because this is... Wait. Yeah, because we're in the 1600s. So, a couple hundreds into New World colonialism. So yeah, there'd be potatoes. Who told you that?
我爹爹。
We moved forward for a bit, and I scanned for the market's location in Shanzhou. Time was ticking, it was afternoon, and most shops were shutting down. We had to hurry, otherwise we might end up empty-handed.
梁爷，要不牵一下我的手吧？
As I thought about finding the market, Mansui spoke up again. Why hold hands? I was puzzled.
不知梁爷注意到了没？总有人在看我们。梁爷看起来比我大10几岁，若不像妇女一样手牵手，容易被人怀疑。
God, she's smart. There we go. This is not... That's better than the way she was talking to me in the bathhouse. Mansui glanced around cautiously and whispered to me. Okay. I considered her point. Then I reached for her hand, leading the way to the market.
梁爷，你看那里有馒头铺。
We just started when she called out. Boss, do you have any buns here?
有，客官要带馅儿的还是不带馅儿的？
Bill, do you have pickled vegetable buns?
有的，一个馒头5文钱，您看看来几个？
Buns seem more expensive than before. I remembered they used to be 2 or 3 coins each, but now they're 5 coins. Must be because of all the disasters everywhere, pushing up the prices of grain and meat. 3 pork buns and 3 pickled vegetable buns, please. I thought for a moment and said to the vendor,
客官，我们这里8个一笼，买1笼划算，只要32文钱。
Let's buy 2 more. Let's buy 2 more. Last, Mansui, what kind do you want?
我也要肉馅的。
Alright, 5 pork buns and 3 pickled vegetable buns. Here's the money.
好，我去拿1笼馒头啊，客官，稍等一会儿啊。
I handed over 32 coins and he went to fetch the buns. While Mansui and I waited, we chatted for a bit longer.
梁爷在京城的时候吃过肉馒头吗？
Sure did. Lots of bun shops in the capital.
那见过万岁爷吗？
Never did. My family's been in trade for generations. Never had a chance to see the emperor.
京城和陕州比是什么样的？
Wider streets, more people, otherwise pretty similar.
真的差不多？肯定还有些别的地方不一样吧？
Not much difference. Once you've been around, you'll see everywhere is pretty much the same. I feigned sophistication to Mansui, and soon after I noticed the bun shop owner handing over a basket of buns.
客官，馒头都好了，这篮子直接送你们。
Huh? Can we pay for the basket? Why give it to us?
本来装馒头的篮子要收1文，这也是惯例。不过看您家小女水灵，这1文我就不收了。
谢谢伯伯。
没事儿，哎呀，小姑娘真乖，长得真俊呐。
I grabbed the basket and caught Mansui giving me a smug look. Ugh. That last was quite the show-off. After buying the buns, we asked the boss for the market's address and found it shortly after. Unfortunately, we were late. Many stalls had already closed. After a quick search, we found a fish stand still open. We bought a barely alive black carp and grabbed some cabbage and radishes from nearby stalls. Despite looking around, we didn't find any stalls selling sweet potatoes. No sweet potatoes around.
本来就不好找，当时是爹爹好不容易才搞到的，估计早就没得卖了。等一下，梁爷，你忘了还有东西要买。
What's that?
影子戏的东西。
Oh, right. Without Mansui's reminder, I almost forgot to buy the missing items from the wooden box earlier. To have a complete shadow play show, we needed more than just drums. We also required some donkey hide and wooden sticks to draw additional puppets. Within an hour, we got what we needed. The wooden sticks and donkey hide were easy to find in carpentry and leather shops. The drums were not everyday goods, but luckily there was a pawn shop at the market. The owner said they mostly dealt in low-end stuff, and once something was pawned, it was gone for good. We found a theater troupe's drums there. After a quick haggle, I paid 200 coins for the set. Damn!
梁爷，这套锣鼓买200文，你觉得贵不贵？
It's alright. Things are usually pricey at pawn shops. As much isn't bad.
戏班子当时为什么要当掉锣鼓啊？
Times have been tough lately. Many people can't even afford food, let alone going to the theater. With fewer people attending shows, the theater troupe decided to call it quits.
戏班的人不唱戏，那回去干什么？
You've got me there. I don't have any friends in the theater troupes to ask. Oh, didn't you mention it? Your family used to be in a theater troupe before becoming regular folks? How'd that switch happen?
我不知道，是从我爷爷那一辈转的，爹爹没跟我讲过。对了，梁爷，有件事想问一下你。
Yes?
你在当铺当过多少次东西？
Never kept count. Probably dozens of times.
当东西都是为了卖钱吗？
Yep, always for money, I calmly replied to Mansui. Back then, when food was scarce, I often pawned items. Starting out with tongue, I did a few deals and even took care of a few sheep. Initially, I kept some of their belongings, but later, when times got tough, I pawned them off to pay for food. Those transactions were pretty much final, and whatever was pawned was probably long gone. Good riddance. I didn't believe those sheep's spirits would come back for revenge. But I still feared holding on to those items might attract attention from enemies one day. After we got our stuff from the pawn shop, Mansui carried the groceries and I held the drums. We headed back to the inn. I thought she wouldn't speak to me again on the way, but as we passed Shanju's golden pagoda, she surprised me by striking up a conversation.
梁爷，昨晚你和星爷是不是吵
God
架了？
damn, of course she fucking figured that shit out. Mansui whispered, asking me, "Last night, a fight? How did she know Tung and I argued yesterday? Were you pretending to sleep? Were you following us too?" I stopped and glared at her. After I spoke, I realized something wasn't adding up. She couldn't have been following us. I tied her up last night. She must have been feigning sleep. That lass probably squinted, pretending to be asleep while watching Tung and me. Pieced together that we had argued from our reactions before and after our conversation.
我昨晚没睡着，迷迷糊糊的就听见梁爷找星爷去谈话。回来后，梁爷一直都睡不着，像是有心事。梁爷莫怪，我就是好奇，你们昨晚到底说了什么呀？
Fuck. Rather not say. Let's head back. I took her hand and tried to pull her
我
along.
不明白，梁爷和星爷到底谁是老大？
She remained rooted to the spot, speaking with her head lowered. We're both equals, just partners. I handle the physical stuff better, he's sharper with words, so we make a good team.
那你们感情很好吗？是拜把子的兄弟吗？
Just regular friends.
那我觉得，梁爷不必只是听他的，好像他是老大一样。之前洗澡的时候，梁爷提过京城爆炸的事。我知道，那件事之后，梁爷可能觉得有些事都是老天定的，人怎么做都没用。但我觉得不是这样的。梁爷，你可以做出自己的选择。
Mansui lifted her head, her big eyes staring straight at me, gleaming with radiance. I felt uneasy and puzzled by her stare. What did she mean by choice? Was she hinting at something? Quiet down. We're nearly at the end. Just act like little mute again. I avoided her eyes, took her hand, and headed back to the inn. On the way back, I stayed silent. She did too. Mansui and I made it back to the inn. Right as we entered, Tung grabbed the groceries I bought and handed them to the cook. After about 2 hours, nearing dusk, the waiter ushered us to a room upstairs. The cook had finished preparing the food and it was served on the table. Stir-fried cabbage, steamed carp, 5 pork buns, 3 pickled vegetable buns, and a big bowl of radish soup. Yum. It had been a while since I'd seen such a spread, probably even longer for the lambs. Tung untied them and they gathered around the table, eyes wide, drooling over the dishes.
哎呀，我和梁爷都是说话算数的人啊，说了不会亏待你们，就不会亏待你们。馒头、鱼，你们要的，这不都有了？来，快吃快吃！
La 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 la! Tung plopped onto the chair by the wooden table, rolled up his sleeves, and dug into the food with his chopsticks. He swiftly grabbed a chunk of fish and gobbled it down.
好吃啊！哎，你们快坐下来吃饭，客气啥呢？啊！
Tung swallowed a bite of fish and motioned for the lambs to take a seat. I led by example and sat down with little Mute following suit. The rest of the lambs nervously took their seats but hesitated to pick up their chopsticks. Dig in, everyone. Basket of buns with pickled vegetables and pork. Each of you gets one. I told the lambs casually, then grabbed a pork bun with my hands. Took a bite, the skin cracked, juices burst out, rich in taste. Delicious, tasted amazing. Way better than dry rations. Watching me eat with relish, Suier couldn't hold back any longer, mimicking my actions by reaching for a bun from the plate. Soon after, Hong Er, Mansui, and Qianghua each grabbed one too. The lambs eagerly nibbled on the buns one after the other. They seemed starved, perhaps having gone without buns for quite some time. I paid close attention to Cuillère and Hong Er, the sisters who had requested the buns. Initially, they devoured the buns as if afraid they'd disappear. But halfway through, they slowed down and savored each bite. With only one bun each, they likely worried about running out too soon and forgetting the taste.
翠儿，你要不要尝尝拆馒头？
After finishing most of her own, Hong Er passed it to her sister.
那哥哥要尝尝肉馒头，好吃。不用，你自己吃呗。谢谢吃，尝尝。
Cuillère also offered her meat bun to Hong Er, who still seemed unsure. Stop fussing. Take another. I intervened when I saw them bickering back and forth, putting an end to their indecision.
梁爷，我们不是一人一个吗？
There are 8 buns in total. Tong and I were supposed to eat 2, but I don't like them. You two can have mine. I said lightly, then picked up a pork bun and handed it to the 2 of them.
谢谢梁爷。谢谢，梁爷。
The 2 sisters took my bun and started dividing it.
哎，梁啊，你不能只偏心这俩姐妹啊，可还有俩小羊看着呢。那星爷对你俩好啊，给你们俩分一个。
Tong also grabbed a pickled vegetable bun, split it in half, and handed one piece to Mansui and the other to Qianghua. Mansui took the bun, smiled at Tong in thanks.
谢谢星爷。
Qianghua, a bit nervous, accepted the half bun and quietly expressed gratitude to Tong.
还有，这个鱼是你梁爷特别去买的，快吃啊！那。
Tong picked up his chopsticks, serving Qianghua a piece of fish. Qianghua nodded nervously, avoiding eye contact, and began eating her share of the pickled vegetable bun and fish. After a while, as she took the first bite of fish, tears welled up in her eyes. She tried hard not to cry, but 2 lines of tears escaped and trailed down her cheeks. Quickly, wiping her face to hide her tears, she resumed eating, bowing her head. Tong and I pretended not to notice her tears. We didn't ask why she was crying, but we understood. It was likely the first time she had enjoyed such a good meal since being taken, and the fish likely brought back memories of her old life.
哎呀，都多吃点儿，多吃点儿，哎，真好啊！
Tong kept his eyes on the lambs, smiling softly as they ate. Perhaps to the lambs he was all gentle now, like some nice fella, quite different from before. But I knew. He just wanted to give the lambs a good last meal before they met their doom, so they wouldn't come back to haunt him. It's just his last bit of hypocrisy. Those gross thoughts killed my appetite, so I put down my bowl and chopsticks early. As I went to leave, Tong stopped me.
梁，你这就吃完了？
Yeah, not feeling hungry. I'm going upstairs to rest for a bit.
啊，行，那你去吧。咱住的地方是2楼东北角那2间啊，你先挑一个去歇吧。
Tong nodded and gestured upstairs. As I moved to step away, he called out to me once more.
梁，等等，现在易经还没到，你别睡太早。昨晚的事没聊完，咱哥俩一会儿喝点酒，再接着聊。
As the sun dipped below the western horizon, dusk settled over the land. In the distance, the evening drums echoed outside the inn. With the first watch signaling curfew, the inn began to close up. Changzhou was a bustling city, strict with its curfew unlike rural villages. At night, venturing outside meant risking punishment by the night guards. After dinner, the waiter tidied our table and locked up for the night. In my room, thoughts swirled in my mind. First about the lambs, the image of the sisters Hong Er and Cuillère sharing the bun, each insisting the other should have it, and Qianghua looking like she was about to cry while eating the fish, stayed with me. Then there's Mansui. These days, learning shadow play with her, chatting in the bathhouse, grocery shopping together. Memories flooded my mind. Reflecting on those moments, a certain realization solidified within me. I wouldn't say I'm head over heels for these lambs, but I just can't bear to send the lambs to such a gruesome end. Besides, mulling over the lambs, I also dwelled on Tong. 5 years back, while fleeing famine, I encountered him on the road. Was ambushed by 3 men not far from the main road. Tong was among them, They aimed to rob me of provisions and my father's sword. I resisted fiercely. That battle was perhaps the closest I've ever come to death's door. I dodged the first swing and struck back, taking down the first man. Then the second man ambushed me, aiming his dagger at my side. I sidestepped, taking the hit in my thigh instead of my abdomen. With a growl, I fought through the pain and yanked the dagger from my leg. I returned it to him with a forceful thrust into his belly. I beat 2 bandits but got badly hurt in the process. Blood gushed from my wounds, making me dizzy, and I collapsed. I recalled Tung coming over. Just as I was about to fight him off with my last bit of strength, he tossed his weapon and told me to lie down, saying he'd patch me up. I was puzzled by his actions. He smiled and said he had a change of heart, wanting to rescue me. Fed up with his old crew, he saw potential in me and invited me to join him instead. Together, we'd navigate the chaos of the world and make a living. That's when it hit me. Partners? Didn't matter to him one bit. He was cold to the core. Didn't give a damn about his old crew. He just wanted more money and a cushier life. Who his partner was didn't concern him in the least. After that, he patched me up, and we became bandits, hitting lightly guarded merchant caravans in the mountains and sometimes robbing travelers on the road. He had great connections, always scoring good information on caravan size and routes. My role? The muscle. We hit unguarded caravans or ones with just a few guards, take one out quick and we can rob them. Split the loot down the middle, adjusting for extra effort. 5 years in, still not friends. Probably because we're both ice cold, both wolves. Wolves hunt, eat, and survive together. They never become friends. After about an incense stick's worth of time, Tung led the lambs upstairs. I didn't catch sight of them, just heard some noise outside. They were taken to the room next door by Tung, had a brief chat, then Tung came back to my room.
哦，凉，你还没睡啊？我本以为你进屋这么久，早就睡了。
Not tired. All the lambs finished eating?
吃完了呀，他们个头不大，吃的倒挺多的，特别是那个小哑巴，不声不响的，快把整个盘子舔干净了。我带他们去客栈的茅房解了手，之后便把他们带回来了。
You locked the room next door now?
还没锁啊，不过你不用担心他们趁这会儿跑了。我跟那些小羊说了，必须留屋里，也已经用绳子绑了他们。而且这整个客栈就一个门，这门晚上一直是锁着的，他们哪怕解了绳子也出不去。
Do they not have windows in their rooms?
咱俩明天起早点就行了。要是再不放心啊，咱一会儿可以给他们的屋子挂个锁。
Yeah, better safe than sorry. Let's put a lock on their room soon. Tung and I chatted half-heartedly about locking the door for a while. Then silence fell between us.
梁，昨晚的事，你想明白了吗？
After a bit, Tung broke the silence. He perched on the bed, his tone icy as he asked me.
这活你打算继续做吗？给个准信儿啊！说话呀，别他妈跟个闷葫芦似的，不是说了要聊清楚吗？
I don't know, but I'm likely out. If I didn't know those lambs, their fate wouldn't be my concern. But after all this time, I can't send them to die like that. Tung, you knew my principles from the start. This job is not what we signed up for. I'm done. I fixed him with a serious look, making my resolve clear.
我昨天都说了，都是尹三儿那狗娘养的瞒着咱们。他开始是根本就没跟咱们说小杨是去做菜人的，要不是我跟李贵打听，可能最后都蒙在鼓里。咱们现在活也接了，也送到陕州了，现在是骑虎难下了。要是不做，是怎么个不做？你是明天就走人，让我一个人把小杨送到洛阳，还是说把他们送官府？
Let them go. Take them to the government.
你他妈疯了！几个州的捕快还在找咱们呢，你敢去官府？这不是赚不赚的问题，是咱们不做这一单就有没有命活的问题。这次咱们的雇主不是什么小地主，是洛阳城最有权势的人。你耍了他的祸，死都不知道怎么死。
Tung yelled at me, slamming his fist down on the nearby bed.
他妈的，现在这光景，你把他们放了，他们也活不了。 到处都是饿死的人啊！劫匪杀人越货，官兵杀良冒功，无家可归的小羊本就活不下去。他们反正都是要死，为什么就不能给咱们换钱？啊？他们活在这个狗屁不如的乱世，为什么不能让他们解脱？
Tongue frowned deeply, eyes glaring like a wolf's locked onto me. Can't take that path, can't bear them dying that way.
梁，你真不错。那我若是继续做，你要为了这些小羊杀我？你他妈能为了这几个认识不久的小王八蛋和我拼命？
He raised his head, jabbing a finger in my nose, his voice sharp, his face twisted, chin jerking, eyes still fierce like a wolf's. I couldn't read his mind, but I got his message loud and clear. He was warning me, ready to play for keeps. I didn't say a word, just gave him a look. I wasn't backing down. If you're ready to fight, I'm ready to fight back. Tongue kept his gaze fixed on me. We were like two wolves about to clash, eyes locked in a deadly stare down. My muscles tightened, scanning the room's layout whilst debating whether to draw my blade. His jaw quivered, tears welling in his eyes, yet his glare grew fiercer. Seemed like it's going to be a fight to the death. I was pretty sure I could handle him, if it came down to it. He's the one likely to bite the dust. We had been partners for 5 years. I didn't want to harm him, let alone take him down. But if he was out for blood and wanted to take me down, I wouldn't hold back either. For those lambs, huh? Was it worth it? I was hesitating, surprised I'd actually break ties with him over them. No, it's not just about them. It's about me, too. I have my principles. He hid details before we started, going against them. I've got to stick to my principles. Can't just let it slide.
What?
I thought we were about to throw hands. In the tense standoff, Tongue's fierce gaze suddenly dissipated. He sighed, shrugged, and his tense muscles relaxed. What happened?
梁啊，本来我不想提这个方案的，但若是你这么坚持，那为了咱哥俩别自相残杀，也没办法。
I eyed Tongue cautiously.
我有一个提议，能使你不违反原则，也能让咱们把这个任务做完了。只是这个提议很麻烦，也有一定风险。
Spit it out. I kept my eyes on him as he settled onto the bed.
明天咱们在陕州找找人牙子，打听下，把现在这4只小羊给卖了。咱们把这4只小羊按市场价卖了，确保能卖到一个让他们活着的地方。然后卖了的钱，你拿1成辛苦费，我拿9成。再然后呢，我去洛阳找一个我认识的朋友，用9成的钱买4只新小羊。反正那位大人只是要小羊，也不是特别要咱手头的这4只，到时候给他送4只新的便是。你看怎么样啊？
Tongue detailed his proposal to me. Got to admit, it was feasible. I didn't want to send these 4 lambs already got attached. If they ended up dead in Liaoyang, it would have been on me. But selling them in Shanzhou and Tongue getting fresh ones in Liaoyang, it might work. Swine Demon wasn't specifically about the lambs. Might have even taken that Buddha back then. So what was the harm in swapping them out a bit? It's ironic in a way. Accepting Tongue's proposal felt a bit strange. I refused to let those 4 lambs suffer, preserve my principles. Instead, there would be 4 other lambs in Liaoyang, unknown to me, bought by Tongue, meeting their end with the Swine Demon. Call it my own wishful hypocrisy, but I was willing to do it. Alright, I'll take your offer. Let's do it that way. The change of plans is on me. After we sell the lambs tomorrow, I won't take a dime, and I won't be involved anymore. Once you reach Liaoyang, use all the money to get new lambs and close the deal.
交差后若是赚了钱，我再看着分一点。
Sure thing. When we meet up in Liaoyang, just toss me a share. As we talked, the tension between me and Tongue eased, and our expressions softened.
好， 好，那就这么定了啊！哎呦喂
He's gonna fucking
方法
stab me.
想出来，哎，咱们哥俩
He's
也
gonna
不
kill
会
me in
因为
my
这个
sleep or
吵了
something. I don't fucking trust this motherfucker.
梁啊，刚才那一副要跟我打起来的样子，别说啊，我还真被你吓到了。你等着啊，我去拿点酒啊，咱俩可得喝上2壶，压压惊。真是的。
Tung and I finally came to an agreement. He's gone to get us some drinks. I exhaled deeply, my tense muscles finally relaxing. Sitting on the bed, I reflected on Tung's deadly stare just moments ago and my unwavering stance. It's hard to believe I went this far for those lambs, but it happened. 2 wolves nearly at each other's throats over a disagreement. The issue was sorted out in an odd manner. We came to an understanding. 4 unknown lambs would be sacrificed in return for 4 known ones. It involved greater risk, but he would get a larger share of the money as compensation, while I would maintain my principles. In a way. It's a good outcome, I supposed. Maybe even a favorable one. Tap tap. Tap tap tap. Tap 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 tap. Tap tap. Just as I began to relax and let my mind wander, I heard a noise from the wall of the inn. In the next room, someone was knocking on the wall, the sound of the knocks echoing over here. It was lambs tapping away, the knocks growing more urgent. What's happening? I stepped out of the room and walked to the door of the next room, pulling it open. Inside, 4 lambs were tied up, each pair on separate beds, and their waists were bound with ropes secured to a wooden post in the room. What's up? Who was banging on the wall earlier?
梁爷，是穗儿姐有事。
Xianghua gestured towards Sui standing nearby. What's up?
梁爷，我有要事跟你说。
And Sui looked at me with a serious expression, seeming a bit nervous. Go ahead.
这里说话不方便，我们得换个地方聊。
Okay. I freed Mansui from the ropes, then took her downstairs for a walk around. Eventually, I decided to talk to her in the bathhouse downstairs. I quickly instructed the other lambs, if Tung showed up with drinks looking for me, to tell him we're at the outhouse. We'd be back soon. The inn was just like the last one, and even the bathhouse had a familiar layout. To avoid running into Tung on the way, I quickened my pace with Mansui. We arrived at the bathhouse, where she closed the wooden door behind her and began speaking to me. Tell me, why'd you sneak me over here? What's up?
梁爷，大事不好了，
What is it?
星爷马上要杀你。
I knew it. I was taken aback. I never expected her to bring this up with me. What makes you say that?
刚才春花跟我说，星爷趁我们买菜的时候，将他们锁在门里，半个时辰后才回来。
Oh? Oh. And why is that suspicious?
肯定不对。星爷很谨慎，按理说该一直看着他们，不让他们跑了。但是，他刚刚却没有那么做。
That's a good point.
半个时辰，显然不是要去解手或者去拿什么东西。他大概是出了客栈，去了某个地方，找某人聊了些什么。
What's the big deal? Maybe he just went to see a friend. He's got plenty in Shangju.
我觉得没那么简单。他若是见朋友，为何不像之前一样告诉梁爷？刚才我听星爷和梁爷似乎在隔壁吵着什么，我听不清，但隐约听到星爷最后开了门，喊着要去拿酒。梁爷，那个酒一定不能喝，一定是下了药。你不要轻易相信星爷，他肯定。
Thud. Before Mansui could finish her words, the bathhouse door was kicked open.
哟呵，在聊什么呢？
The newcomer barged into the bathhouse, his eyes flashing with anger as he looked at Mansui. Tung. I stared at Tung in disbelief, never expecting him to barge in like that. Mansui was also taken aback by Tung's sudden intrusion. She widened her eyes, looking terrified, but didn't speak. Well, who would have...
真没想到
I forgot, he has his own word, his own voice
小哑巴
actor.
还真能说话，说的还是我的坏话。
Oh, we're gonna have to kill him.
我早觉得这小哑巴可疑。一次做梦时，隐约在梦里听到他说话，好几次起夜，你和他也总是不见人影。梁，小 王八蛋跟你密谋多久了？啊？是他在骗你，还是你们本就是一伙的？
Tung's face twisted, body shaking either from surprise or fury.
我不想骗良夜，是星夜想骗良夜。星夜一直都在骗良夜。刚刚良夜吃完先上楼时，星夜就拿来包裹翻着什么，是蒙汗药。
Mansui pointed at Tung with a look of horror.
狗娘养的，你胡说什么？老子弄死你！
Tung, furious, lunged at Mansui. He grabbed her swiftly before she could dodge. Mansui, off balance, tumbled to the ground as he grabbed her. Tung pounced, pinning her beneath him.
想跑？老子掐死你个小王八蛋！
Tung straddled Mansui, veins bulging, hands gripped around her neck like a hungry wolf, pouncing on a lamb. His arms tense, fingertips digging into her throat as if he aimed to choke the life out of her.
救我！
Oh, are we about to be adventuring solo? Well, with the lambs. Mansui sobbed, tears blurring her vision, pleading for my help. It was chaos. Total chaos. My mind was in a mess. In that moment, I couldn't tell what was really and what was fake. Was Mansui lying? Was Tung not really planning to harm me? No secret meetings, no drug drinks? Possible. That last was good at deceiving. The mute act, the age, it could all be fake. But why warn me now? Her expression and eyes didn't seem like she was lying this time. Was Tung lying? He'd always been selfish, only interested in his gain. But he accepted my deal this time. It was strange, not like him to risk more just to stick to principles. Yet, his plan made sense. Though higher risk, it was a win-win for us. Would he really betray me after proposing such a plan? The look he gave me just then didn't seem like deceit. 1,000 thoughts swirled in my head, and then I recalled Mansui's words from earlier. You can make your own choices. Well, I can make my own choice now. So who should I trust? How to choose? Mansui? Oh! Hold on, I want... Oh no, I missed my... Okay. She fought, tears welling, looking up at me. You make your own choices. Her words echoed in my mind at that moment. Her words revived the phantom in my mind. The figure of the phantom resembled me. He stood with his back to me, wearing a bamboo hat, straw coat, and a long sword. A gust of wind stirred his attire, yet he remained steadfast. The next moment, he turned his gaze sharp but noble. Hold on. Yeah, we're at 38%. Not a wolf's, but a hero's gaze. I gritted my teeth, burst up, charging at Tung. Thud! A loud impact reverberated. I knocked Tung off Mansui. He hit the ground, but swiftly rose again. Tung rose, eyes brimming with rage and murder. He probably didn't expect I'd knock him off for some lying brat. He roared, brandishing a dagger from his waist. With a gleaming blade in hand, he sprinted at me. Tisk. I scoffed, staying vigilant. Bending slightly, steadying myself, eyes fixed on the approaching dagger. Whoosh! Focused, I dodged Tung's first strike. Thud! No second strike, I grabbed his elbow. Swift spin, I was behind him. Look at that, we look good. My right hand seized his dagger hand, and my left arm locked around his neck. I used half my strength to restrain him and half to push his own dagger towards his neck. He eyed the blade creeping towards his neck. My grip against his against the blade, a struggle. He resisted, slightly weaker. I pushed, slightly stronger. The tiny strength gap made the blade inch closer. I edged the dagger closer, inch by inch, toward his neck. He looked wide-eyed at me. I held his gaze. Sweat dripped from his brow, muscles straining as he fought to break free from my hold. Like a python, I tightened my grip, preventing his escape. Plunge. Finally, I guided his hand, driving his own dagger into his neck. The blade pierced skin and throat. Blood flowed down the blade. His eyes widened, flicking between the blade and me. Anger and disbelief flashed in his gaze, questioning my resolve. But beneath the plea for mercy, a fear of death subtly begged from his eyes. Years of bloody experience taught me not to spare any enemy who once fought me. Plus, I knew him too well. If I let him live now, he might not hesitate to kill me later. These thoughts drove me to push the blade deeper into his neck. I clenched my teeth, a grunt muffled in my nose, pushing with all my might, driving the dagger deeper until half its blade disappeared into his neck. Honestly, I do feel a little bad. Like he's fucked up. But we were still partners, you know, trying to survive. His muscles tense, trembling, he turned to glare. His eyes flooded with anger, defiance, sorrow, fear, and pleading. Tears flowed, his whole body strained for air. I held him firm, one hand tight, the other letting blood flow. I twisted the dagger in his hand like turning a key halfway, increasing the blood flow. Our gazes stayed locked together throughout. Mine held something much purer. Only icy intent to kill filled my gaze. Drip, drip. Blood dripped to the ground, blooming into crimson flowers. He fought in my hold, weakening, face draining of color. Blood ebbed, legs faltered. Then, with a final breath after a silent struggle, he went limp. Releasing his arm, he collapsed like a marionette with cut strings, hitting the ground with a thud. I stayed silent, gazing down at him amidst the blood. On his back, eyes unblinking, skin drained of color. Kneeling, I checked his nostrils. Dead.
良夜，他死了吗？
Yes, I killed him.
为何良夜那么果断就杀了他？
Unsui trembled and shakily asked me, uncomprehending. She wanted my help. She didn't expect me to kill my companion so decisively for her sake. About 2 years ago, we robbed a caravan but spared the coachman to drive for us. He pretended to comply but secretly led us astray, aiming to deliver us to the barracks. When the truth came out, he panicked. Hung promised him money to keep him quiet, first. But once we reached familiar roads, he not only killed the coachman but also hunted down his 80-year-old mother and took her life too. He's always settled a score. Once he's drawn his knife, he'll have a bone to pick with me. He'd keep that grudge until he got the chance to finish me off. Better to end him today than to wait for him to off me someday. I turned to Mansui slowly, my gaze fixed on Tung's corpse.
良夜为何相信我？
Just a gut feeling. And it's more about not trusting him than trusting you. I didn't buy Tung's proposal.
什么提议？
Didn't tell you before, but I thought this job was about selling you off as maids or servants, so I took it with a clear conscience. But guess what? Found out yesterday that you were being sent as lamb dishes. Damn, Luang City's got a swine demon eyeing you all for dinner. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't go through with this job, so I told him I wanted out. At first he wasn't keen, but after dinner he changed his mind and made a proposal that satisfied me. He suggested we sell you all tomorrow and I quit this job in Shanzhou. Then, once he's in Liaoyang, he'd buy a few lambs himself to deliver, and if he made extra, he'd give me a cut. Something about that didn't sit right, and him being so agreeable this time was unusual. I calmly filled Mansui in on everything, including Tung's offer. Oddly enough, sharing it with her made me feel lighter.
我觉得良夜想的是对的。仔细想想便知，若是他能直接买洛阳的孩子交差，那为什么要走那么远的路来用我们？
Oh, that's a good point too. I didn't even think about that. Shit.
吞药必定是因为某个原因，更想要闪帝的孩子，或者说，他为了避嫌，必须要从更远的地方，经过好几手才敢买孩子。
Impressive. Just by listening to me, you've sorted out what I couldn't. Got a sharp mind. I praised her. Indeed, her explanation helped me understand. Come to think of it, her sister got snatched by that swine demon too. He lied about marrying her and took her away. How old was her sister? Probably a few years older than her, right?
良夜，你之后打算怎么对我们？
As I thought about Mansui's sister, she suddenly asked me another question. She got me stuck for a moment. This happened too suddenly. At first I just didn't want them to become lamb dishes. Then I didn't fully believe Tung's proposal. I hadn't even thought about what to do with them after Tung was gone. When she asked, all I could think of was to go along with Tung's fake proposal from earlier. Tomorrow, I'll ask the waiter, find some Shanzhu human traffickers and sell you off for money.
不行，良夜，万万不可这样！
I can't. She seemed really upset. Why not? I killed the partner I've worked with for 5 years just to save your lives. Now I have to figure out how to deal with the body and make a run for it. You got me into a mess, but I'm not trying to get you killed. Can't I at least sell you for some money? I shot her a glare. Meanwhile, I couldn't shake the feeling that this lass was pushing her luck after I killed Tung for them. Ansui saw my unhappy face and started to act more friendly.
良夜，消消气。我不是说在山州卖我们不行，只是良夜的想法有欠考虑的地方。良夜不像是星爷，你和那些人牙子混得不熟。琼华也说过，星爷趁我们不在时，好像是去外面联系什么人了。你如果明天去找那些人牙子，他们没见到舌头，很可能会猜到这一切。那样不仅我们有可能还会被送到屯阳那里去，可能你之后也会被屯阳报复。良夜，你现在在暗处，他们在明处，你可不能自己主动从暗处走到明处啊。
She laid it out straight. I have to say, her analysis isn't wrong. I'm not tight with the locals like Tung. Selling them off without him, locals might get nosy. Too risky. Their lives, mine, all on the line. What's your take on this? I looked at her, seeking advice. Her clear thinking earned my trust, got me wondering about her thoughts.
我想想，
She scratched her chin, pacing by Tung's body, lost in thought. Got something?
我有个想法。
Spill.
首先，我们必须要处理好星爷的尸体，确保他的尸体不被任何人发现。然后，良夜可以自己做人牙子，把我们送去各自合适的地方。
What does that mean? Can you explain more?
我们4个家庭不一样，来历不一样，要去的地方自然是不一样的。红儿和翠儿这对姐妹，家里喂不活她们，我觉得没必要再把她们送回去了。良夜可以把她们卖给身边不愁吃喝的亲友，既能安顿好她们，也能换一笔钱。琼华是被拐来的，良夜可以想办法联系上他的家人，跟他，如果他们能筹一笔钱，就把琼花送回去；不能的话，就把琼花卖给愿意要他的人，比如说良夜不愁吃喝的亲友。
Wait.
Huh?
Your plan has a big problem. I don't have rich relatives or friends nearby. Actually, I don't have anyone I can ask for help. I laid out my words and Mansui looked a bit surprised. She might have been surprised that at twice her age I still had the social connections of an orphan. My dad had a small business, no rich friends. My parents eloped, tied the knot solo, cut clan ties, so no family to reach out to.
良夜，好可怜。
No need for your pity. Mansui gave me a pitying look anyway and I shot back. Thinking about it now, I really don't have many friends. My connections had always been weak. In this big world, was there anyone willing to lend me a hand? I pondered for a moment and suddenly thought of someone. Alright, I've thought of someone.
什么人？
Back in the famine, there was someone I met. I think she went to work in Haiju. She should have the means to support you all. She's got quite the network, and reach out to some people. My relationship with her isn't great, but I did save her life once. Might be worth a shot to ask. I said to Mansui, recalling the person's face.
好，那咱们就去亥州找那个朋友吧。 太好了。
Nansui relaxed when I mentioned my choice, showing genuine relief. Despite the brat's knack for fibbing, this happiness seemed real. She cared about those lambs. However, you've sorted out everything for them. What about you? I asked her, puzzled about what she had in mind for herself. She talked a bunch, but didn't bring up herself. She looked down, thinking for a bit. Then she looked up, locking eyes with me. She could be thinking about why I asked, or maybe thinking about her own plans. Soon she spoke her mind to me.
我仔细考虑了一番，还是打算去洛阳。我没法不报仇。
So you want me to take you to the swine demon?
对，只送我过去就行。麻烦良爷了。
No.
良爷，你先别，不行，先听我说。良爷杀了星爷，再把其他几个孩子都送走，这事很容易暴露。为了不暴露，你可以还是把我送到屯阳那里去。然后你说星爷把其他孩子都拐跑了，只是这样的话，良爷可以把丢了孩子的罪责全推在星爷身上。这样，
Let's get
他们
smart.
除了给钱少一些，估计也不会太为难良爷。良爷平了一件事，也少了一个仇人。
You're too naive if you think that'll work. I don't know how tight Tongue is with those human traffickers, but this story won't stick. They'll trust a dead Tongue over a live me. Now that Tongue's out, there's no turning back. Plan my escape down south, as far from the north as possible. You're thinking I'll risk going to Liaoyang just to end up dead? That's foolish and pointless.
不，我并非是为了良爷考虑啊，我就是想复仇。姐姐死了后，他便一直在我的梦里，我睡不好，必须要复仇。
Is she when she says sister, does she perhaps instead mean her mother? That's who I'm thinking. I stared at her and she looked back at me with a determined expression. Tears welled up in her eyes and it seemed as if she was looking through me, focused on something beyond. It was obvious her need for revenge was strong. Fine. If you insist on going to your doom, I won't stop you. I'll take you to Liaoyang, sell you off, and then make a run for the south as soon as possible. I said with a helpless sigh, looking over at her.
谢谢良爷。
She nodded, all smiles. I just didn't get it. What's there to be so happy about? It's like she's completely detached, like she's not the one being sold, the one facing death. Alright, we're done talking. Let's get started with the first thing. Now, we've got to figure out what to do with Tongue's body.
好，良爷打算怎么处理星爷的尸体？此刻正在宵禁，明日店小二也会清扫整个客栈，一定要在这之前把尸体处理好。这家店也不是一般的店，是人牙子常用的店。若是让那店小二知道星爷死在店里，他肯定会通报给陕州的人牙子，我们之后的计划都难做了。
Mansui looked at the body, lost in thought. Well, I'm aware of all that. Out in the boonies, it's simple. Find a spot away from the road and bury it. But in the city, stumped.
良爷，我们也可以在城外埋呀。
No way.
为何不行？
Body's too big and too bloody. Can't carry it out without raising suspicion. Imagine wrapping it in cloth and putting it on a horse. Someone's bound to notice. I slowly told Mansui. Well, imagine this. Guards at the gate asking questions, people smelling blood, seeing a pack horse carrying what looks like a human-shaped bloody bundle. It's a recipe for disaster.
也是。
What to do now? Should we bury the body in the inn's yard? Or try bribing the waiter to help? Nah, too risky. We can't depend on just the waiter.
良爷，我有一个想法。
Just as I was thinking, Mansui seemed to come up with something. What idea?
我只是随便一提，这想法虽好，但我担心良爷不敢做。
Mansui sighed deeply and looked at me seriously. What's there I wouldn't do? I chuckled, feeling she underestimated me. The cleaver came down again and again, slicing through the meat and bone laid out on the stone floor. The first chop separated the skin and flesh, exposing the muscle and the gleaming white bone below. The second chop cleanly snapped the bone, the sound echoing sharply in the room. With the third chop, a piece of meat still clinging to bone and sinew was neatly divided into two. I picked up a piece of meat about the size of my hand and tossed it into the first wooden basin. There were 2 basins in front of me, one for the meat and bones, and the other for everything else. The last, barefooted, carried a water basin, cleaning up the bloodstains around me. The smell of blood in the bathhouse was strong, making my head spin and my stomach churn. Even though I was used to blood, I felt queasy at the moment. The lass's proposal really caught me off guard. At the time of half an incense stick, I didn't dare to do it. Now we've been busy for nearly 2 hours. About 2 hours ago, she came up with an idea for handling the body. The body of Tung needed to be taken outside the city and can't be buried near the inn. We needed to make the body look less conspicuous and get rid of the strong smell of blood. She said that we should treat the body like we do pork. We can cut the body of Tung into small pieces. The meaty parts, like pork, are cooked and tied up in a bag, then taken out of the city on the horse. As for the non-meat parts, I'll gather them in a wooden tub, crush them up, mix them together, and dump them into the inn's cesspool. The stinky cesspool should mask the bloody smell. Small parts would also be well hidden within it. Even if people in the inn get suspicious, it will be difficult for them to check. I'm almost done chopping up the meat. Is the hot water ready?
不久前刚去添过柴，大概是烧好了，我去看看。
Alright, you go fetch the water, then be careful not to trip and scald yourself if you fall.
好，谢谢良爷提醒。
Mansui nodded obediently and went to fetch the hot water. The water had been heating for a while, and I told her to keep it going until it was bubbling. We planned to use it for boiling the meat. Initially, we thought of using the inn's kitchen, but it was locked up tight at night by the waiter. Plus, the kitchen's pot wasn't big enough for all the meat, and cooking in batches would take too long. Besides, it was near where the waiter was sleeping, and we didn't want to wake him up. Then Mansui came up with an idea. She suggested blocking the bathhouse's water pool temporarily, filling it with hot water, and using that to cook the meat. Mansui cautiously carried a basin of hot water, walking barefooted through the hot bathhouse. With a splash, she poured the hot water into the pool. The bubbling water spread evenly across the surface, causing the level to rise slightly. Steam rose from the soup, distorting the air around it. Thankfully, this was meant for cooking meat. Yeah, if it were for bathing, even a moment in it would likely peel your skin off. Mansui paced back and forth a few times, until the water level in the pool had finally reached a usable level. She wiped her forehead and sat down to rest. Seeing she was tired, I didn't push her. I sat beside the tank, tossing the meat in, and asked, "How'd you come up with this idea?" I lightly asked her. It's tough to picture a kid that young coming up with such a scary plan.
以前的时候，家里死了一只小猪仔，妈妈饿了，就把小猪仔放锅里给煮了吃。煮了后，猪仔明显比原来要小了，味道也不腥了。我一直记得很清楚。
Mansui sat hugging her knees, head resting on them. Watching the meat in the water, she spoke to me. Her eyes, as if she were remembering something, were empty and cold. I heard Tung say if you end up at the swine demon's, he'd chow down on you. Reckon he'd munch on you raw or cook you up.
不知道，大概是生吃吧。
Why do you figure that?
肉煮了后，就看不出是人样了。他那样的人，估计是想看着我们的模样吃，只是一口气吃不完，能吃多少吃多少，剩下的大概会丢了吧。
She continued, extrapolating her guesses. Hard to imagine analyzing stuff like this suited to her age. Felt odd chatting with her. Though she looked 9, yet was in fact 11 years old, and her insights gave the impression of someone closer to my age. During the dismemberment of Tung's body earlier, I couldn't stand it, looking away and feeling the urge to vomit. She, on the other hand, remained cool, sorting the body parts as if they were just meat. Sometimes she'd cough from the smell, but that was it. I was getting more curious. Was she really from a regular farming family? What kind of experiences could make someone her age like this? Heard something at the tavern once. There are people in this world who are born undead. Undead people have no feelings, don't cry, don't laugh, don't fear. They can do anything calmly, just like grown-ups, even when they're kids. Scary stuff. No way, she wasn't like them undead types. When I spooked her before, she seemed genuinely scared, not putting on a show. And when she played with other lambs, she seemed genuinely happy. It's like she's got both the innocence of a child and the maturity of an adult. Strange. This last was too strange. I kept thinking about her. My hands didn't stop, repeatedly throwing chunks of meat into the water. Tossing and tossing until there was nothing left in the wooden basin. I moved tongue from one place to another. Piece by piece he went into the water. The fat ones floated up, the thin ones sank down, reminding me of frogs bobbing up and down in the water. Tongue. Though it might sound hypocritical to say so, seeing him like that, I did feel a bit sad. Even if he was killed, he wouldn't have wanted to end up like that. I shouldn't have let it happen, even if I killed him. Maybe only that swine demon who eats live kids deserves such a fate. But how could that be possible? Some people were born into wealth and privilege, destined for a life of luxury. No matter how far they fell, they still wouldn't end up being cooked, right? The meat looks cooked white. I'll have to bag it soon. After cooking for a while longer, I noticed the meat was almost done, so I talked to Mansui beside me. She softly replied, her eyes still fixed on the rolling meat. After bagging it up, we'll need to clean this place. The blood smells too strong. Gotta scrub it off. She nodded in agreement. Tonight, you'll sleep in my room. Tomorrow, we'll rouse the lambs and explain. She nodded. Lass was likely worn out. She was keeping her responses short and to the point. Asking her anything, I'd just get a quick answer. Looked tired. Maybe all the lambs are like that. They want to sleep when it's time.
良夜
Suddenly spoke as if wanting to tell me something. What's up?
我有点饿。
No. Can't get into the inn's kitchen. I'll get you some rations later.
不用，虽然饿，但什么东西也不想吃。
Fair enough.
等都忙完后，我们洗个澡吧。
Okay, now she's being fucking weird. Okay. After a quick break, we resumed work once the meat was cooked. I packed the cooked meat into a bag and dumped the rest into the cesspool. She cleaned the blood-stained tub and scrubbed the bathhouse repeatedly. When we finished all that, we took a bath in the bathhouse. I used the tub, she used the bucket, both of us washing separately. Maybe we were just too tired and wanted to finish quickly and go to bed. Maybe it was just dissecting Tongue's body together. Me and the lass, we were used to each other. Weren't shy anymore. After our bath, we only slept for about an hour. Shortly after returning to our room, the sky outside began to lighten with distant bells, followed by roosters and dogs barking. I woke up first, then nudged the lass beside me and went next door to wake up the other lambs. I gathered them to discuss our next moves. Damn, we're still not in the next chapter. Listen up, plans have changed. We're not heading to Luang for now. I saw Omli announce the new plan to the lambs. They looked at each other, then back at me, speechless. Pack up. We're heading north to Haijiao. Once we're there, I'll announce our next move.
良夜，
Suddenly, Cuillère called out to me, sounding worried. What's up? I frowned slightly.
之前三爷说了，去洛阳才能吃饱饭，那里有吃不完的馒头。
是啊，良夜，不是要去洛阳吗？为啥突然又不去了？
The two sisters seemed really down. I figured Yin-san and Tongue had been lying to them for a while. They kept saying Liaoyang would be a paradise with endless food. Liaoyang, with its endless steamed buns, had become their dream. So how do I break it to them gently? Let them know Liaoyang's a good spot, but once they are there, they'll be devoured alive. If I told them straight up, they wouldn't get it, might not even buy it. I froze, didn't know how to break it to them.
良夜听说在洛阳城收我们的人不是好人，便改变主意，要把我们送去好人那里了。放心吧，去汉州的生活一定比去洛阳更好。良夜是不会骗我们的。
Just when I didn't know what to tell the sisters, the last spoke up for me. Cuillère and Hong'er widened their eyes, looking at Mansui.
是啊，穗儿姐都这么说了，就信良叶吧。虽然我也想去洛阳，但既然良叶说去亥州更好，那自然是更好的。
Changhua smiled, reassuring the sisters.
好，既然姐姐们都这么说了，那我和翠儿就放心了，不去就不去了吧。
翠儿信良叶，良叶是好人。
Hong'er and Cuillère smiled at me, especially Cuillère, who looked at me with trust in her eyes. I paused, feeling a warm sensation in my chest, unable to find the words. I couldn't deny it, being trusted like this felt pretty good. Now, chapter. Afterward, I untied the lambs. I got some fruit from the inn and gave it to them to eat before planning to leave. Before leaving, I asked Mansui to watch over the lambs and went back to the bathhouse. After airing it out, most of the blood and strange smell had gone away, though there was still a faint, odd smell. Since this place didn't usually have many guests, it shouldn't raise the waiter suspicious for him to investigate. I double-checked for any bloodstains, then, once I was completely at ease, I led the lambs out of the inn. As I hit the streets of Shanzhou and loaded the cooked meat onto the pack horse, however, two strange characters caught my attention. They were standing at the inn's entrance, one fat and tall, the other skinny and short, dressed like caravan guards, with mean looks on their faces. The fat guy stood 9 feet tall, bearing a ferocious look. It was immediately apparent that he was the difficult-to-deal-with type. While the skinny one had a shifty look in his eyes, one could tell that he wasn't good either. I led the lambs out, Mansui leading one pack horse while I led the other. Their eyes stayed glued to us, slowly moving as we walked. Something was off. Who were they?
哎，站住！
Just as I started to wonder, the fat guy called out. I stopped and the other lambs followed suit. What's up?
哎，认识石星吗？
He asked me in a low voice. I didn't reply immediately. Cold sweat beaded on my forehead and palms. No good. This guy was shady. Shi Jing was Tung's real name. This guy was probably called over by Tung. Don't know him. It was Shi Jing. I forced myself to stay calm, speaking coldly to the fat guy. He didn't answer, just glared at me harder.
你们是从哪里来的？
Why should I tell you? He kept asking and I got annoyed, snapping at him. At the same time, I reached for the blade on the pack horse, ready to draw. Jiangzhou is no small village. Drawing blades in the streets is forbidden. But this inn's location was remote. It'd be a while before city guards arrived. If possible, I didn't want to start a fight with this guy. But if he really was Tung's man, if he found out I'd taken out Tung, then I'd have to fight him right here. What is that fat guy packing? He has a short, blunt weapon on his back. He's built like a tank, so close combat isn't in my favor. But if I can draw my blade fast, I might catch him off guard.
好了，大锤，别为难人家。
This guy, I don't... Oh, he looks dangerous. Just as things were heating up, the skinny guy called out to the fat guy's name, stopping him.
这大哥都说了不认识石星，就是不认识了，你纠缠他做什么？他带着崽子从这家客栈出来，肯定也是跑生意的，别挨了人家的财路。
可我们不也是来接崽子的活的？石星那次都说了，这里有大活。他说鸡打鸣时就和我们在这儿会合，人影都没见。我问问这人不行啊？
切，多嘴啥？我教你的都忘了？你娘都说了，出来混就该听我的，少说话多做事。
So in a way, was he actually telling the truth? Was he then going to sell them for himself and then dip from the mission?
哥，你们莫见怪啊，莫见怪。
The fat guy and the skinny guy argued some more, and the skinny guy apologized to me. No big deal. Inn's open. If you're searching for someone, you can check inside. I calmly told the skinny guy, giving them a hint.
嘿嘿，好嘞，哥，我们一会儿就去。
The skinny guy agreed and then pulled the fat guy to the stand at a distance. Then they kept their eyes on the inn. Let's go. Everything's settled. I told Mansui and the other lambs. Now the next chapter? So we set off again on our journey. We're headed to outside Shanzhou, then up north to Jin, and finally Haijiao. I reckon those two, one fat and one skinny, were probably hired by Tung. They might be caravan guards or bandits. I had a guess about why they were here. That proposal Tung cooked up for me last night was just a con. Oh, okay. Yeah, he was replacing me. He was just trying to keep me calm so I wouldn't fight back. Come the next day, he'd bring them in, ready to take me out, and let those two take over my job. You haven't changed one bit. Speaking of that, those two were pretty interesting. The fat guy acts tough, the skinny guy talks smooth. Fat guy throws fists, the skinny guy smooths things over. Kind of feels like me and Tung. Brings back some memories. What do you think? Thinking about it, I couldn't resist leaning towards the pack horse and whispering softly. Of course, there would be no response from either the horse or the bags on its back. Closest to me, Changhua heard my voice and gave me a curious glance, wondering why I suddenly started talking to myself. At this moment, perhaps only Mansui and I knew the truth. That I wasn't talking to myself, that I was talking to a recently departed partner. That he was lying in pieces on the pack horse right now, and that his flesh danced with the horse's movement as we embarked on our journey out of the city. Chapter 11. I could finally take a break. Oh man, this is good. This is getting so good. Okay, so we're at 42%. This might take... No, but we went from... Where were we? We went from chapter 6 to chapter 11, so 5 chapters. I think we could finish this tomorrow night. Oh. I'm having a good time. We didn't get any achievements though, because I didn't take the get killed ending. But damn, this game is actually really good. The writing is very good. Despite the there's definitely translation stutters here and there. But like in terms of sentence structure, I think some things aren't translating too well. But for the most part, I'm fucking loving this, man. Oh, this is such a good story. Anyways, Clay, thank you for hanging. I don't know if you're still here, probably not. And I will be back tomorrow night. Maybe, hopefully, to finish it. Though, I'm not sure. There looks like there's lots of alternate endings, so I don't know if we can get the true ending on a first playthrough. It might be something similar to the game we played a few years ago that I am forgetting the name of, that I still have yet to go back and do a new game plus of to get an alternate ending. Anyways, thank you for hanging. See you some other time. Woo!